Her name will also live forever in the laws of our country, and this is a very important law. This is something that has brought Democrats and Republicans together. That's not easy to do. Lakin did it. Lakin did it. America will never, ever forget Lakin Hope Riley.
Yeah, well, Lakin did it, but not for all the Democrats, not for Wesley Bell, not for many Senate Democrats. We'll get to that in a moment. I was thinking about this because I was listening to the bill signing ceremony from a couple of hours ago, and I thought, he mentioned that Lakin's family was in the room, and I just can't even imagine how hard it is to repeatedly have to live through this nightmare. But obviously very happy that Trump kept his word on this.
Our family will forever be grateful for the prayers of the people across our nation and for helping to get this legislation into law. We also want to thank President Trump for the promises he made to us. He said he would secure our borders and that he would never forget about Lakin. And he hasn't. He's a man of his word. We trust that he will fight for the American people.
There was like a really interesting moment. I didn't pull the audio from this, but at one point someone tries to shout out a message or a question about something else. Right. And Trump says, not the time for that. But he stays very calm.
Yep.
And look, I'm telling you, after years of saying, hey, maybe you should change your behavior, he has changed his behavior. And we'll get into all the rest of the successes. And I have this Stephen Miller stuff with Jake Tapper is epic that I'll get to in a moment. But there's no reason to vote against this. There was no reason for anyone to vote against this. Let's look at John Fetterman and some of the other Senate Democrats. They realize, what does it do? What is this horrible, horrible bill that 77 Democrats in the House voted against? Wait, let me sure I get the numbers right because I might be off. I'll double check that here in a second.
It's a requirement for DHS to actually detain these people. So if you're in the country illegally, you get arrested for a crime, you have to detain them. It's no longer an option. So if this was in effect during the Biden administration, you want to see criminal aliens being released by the hundreds every day. So this is in statute, it's in law. You got to detain these people. It's the right thing to do to protect public safety. President Trump, a game changer. This is going to be a very effective action of streets safer from starting day one.
I'm still trying to get the numbers
I
here.
think there were 11 Democrat senators that voted for it.
Right. In the Senate, but how many House members? There was still a pretty good majority of the Democrats voted against this for no reason.
I was going to say, did they justify that in any way?
Some were saying, look, it doesn't go far enough when it comes to, ensuring protections for the Dreamers. Well, what John Fetterman said is, okay, that's a separate issue. Let's take that up. This is not that issue. This is what they do in Washington. They like to bog things down. Republicans do it too, where they throw all this stuff in there and then they muddy up the waters. But this was an important piece of legislation. It's more than just symbolic, thinking about what's going on in this country with migrants. Now, I there's some really good stuff. Fred, you had not even heard this Jennings stuff, have you? All right, so let me start with that, and I'll get to Stephen Miller, who just slays Jake Tapper on CNN. David Strom, one of our favorites from hotair.com, has been pumping out some columns over there the last couple of days. And yesterday's, I think I mentioned this, he said, I witnessed a murder, and it was J.D. Vance on with Face the Nation. What's her name? Margaret Brennan. Thank you. And he just killed her the other day. She was such an idiot, and it's embarrassing. And this is where the state of journalism is. And I don't know how they keep doing it to themselves. And I'm going to show you or play another example of this. It's just stunning. It really is with Jake Tapper, who, the more I think about Jake Tapper, I just don't know how he got to where he is. I really don't. But here's Jennings last night. Okay, now the first part of this is not the part that is my favorite. But I think you're going to see where this is going. I can't even spell things right now because I don't see I'm just saying, I don't see this right now. What am I missing here? Fred, see if Ethan can help me out here. Yeah. Because I'm just looking at my entire list here, and I don't have Jennings in here, and I just listened to it in the other room. Is he there? I need him real quick because this is going to blow up my whole, monologue. Ethan, where are the Jennings cuts? CNN panel. Oh, CNN panel. Okay, that's where he threw me off. Well, I'm just going to be honest with you. You guys got to put the names there. Put the names there because I'm not sure what's going on. Here he is. This is last night.
If you are trying to actively hire illegal immigrants, if you think that's best, if you are trying to game the system, if you are trying to help someone break U.S. federal immigration law, I think if we're going to have a true crackdown on illegal immigration in this country, it has to involve everybody who's participating in it. And I think you've raised a good point with this topic. And so employers and anyone else who's part of this pipeline, I think they ought to be put on notice.
And
you
I
got to
don't-
play by the rule. Everybody has to play by the
And
rules.
I don't want to hear that they're doing work that no one else will do. Talk to guys in the building trades, plumbers, contractors.
Picking strawberries.
Okay, so there's this. I don't know who this person is. Let's Google her right now. Have you ever heard of someone by the name of Jenna Arnold?
No, I don't think
Okay,
so.
So she is going to be, I think, a strong contender for one of the dumbest people on the planet. After I play you this, but it says American activist and entrepreneur. So she's on last night with this panel, and here's what she says.
Can't wait until American women can't get blueberries for their smoothies.
Let me play that
Wait,
again.
what?
And let's also mock her. I cannot wait. She lives in Webster Groves, Missouri. I almost guarantee it here. This is Jenna Arnold.
Can't wait until American women can't get blueberries for their smoothies.
Yeah, she said what you heard.
I can't-
She said, I cannot wait that American women can't get blueberries for their. She's acting, and listen, because this is pretty good, and Stephen Miller really hands it to Tapper on this same issue, but listen to what she's saying. She basically, this is what they're making the case for. Oh, if we crack down on migrants, especially those who rape and kill women, we won't have crops, right? We won't have people picking our crops.
I cannot wait until there is a full crackdown on all small businesses, as if that's going to be the solution to the immigration problem. It is just going to put immigration-related issues further into the darker corners. We're not going to see them. It's just going to become even harder to solve the problem. It doesn't make sense to punish individuals and people when there is a broken system.
Oh, who's being punished? Let's think
What?
about that. The people who broke the law in the first place are
Yeah.
being punished, right? So, Stephen Miller, I don't think it's fair to have an interview with Stephen Miller because he's going to slice you up and he's going to dice you up, and you're not going to win the battle. And I think Jake Tapper found this out the hard way on this issue of immigration.
Because one of the reasons that President Trump got elected, according to President Trump in an interview, I think it was with Kristen Welker of NBC, was because of grocery prices.
Now, let me stop right there. Let's reframe this, because even the question is ridiculous. He has to. This is a media. Keep this in mind. This is a media, and CNN in particular. They have no problem disparaging anyone connected with Trump, calling them a racist, calling them a bigot, calling them a xenophobic. They don't attribute that, right? This is what used to happen in journalism. In journalism, you used to say, well, someone alleges that what he said is racist. The media doesn't do that anymore. They deem what's racist and what's not racist, right? So just listen to the way that he phrases the question here with Stephen Miller, because he acts like Trump is somehow manipulating or manufacturing the idea that people voted for him because they can't afford their damn groceries. Well, that's not the right one. That was a song. Here we go.
One of the reasons that President Trump got elected, according to President Trump in an interview, I think it was with Kristen Welker of NBC, was because of grocery prices. Not the only reason, but a reason: high prices, inflation, especially at the grocery. The Department of Agriculture says that between 2020 and 2022, 42% of crop workers were undocumented immigrants. And in many cases, as you know, these migrants do jobs many Americans do not want to do.
Of course, yeah.
So how does President Trump make sure that the effort to deport people who are not in this country legally doesn't end up hurting Americans who want safe borders, absolutely, but also don't want to see even more higher prices in groceries?
Now, what you need to realize is there's no effort on CNN, because I've been watching and listening to them a fair amount here the last couple of weeks, Aaron Burnett in particular. There's no effort to focus on some of the issues that are affecting American citizens related to immigration. They don't talk to people in Chicago that are sick and freaking tired of having their tax dollars go to migrants who aren't here legally. They're tired of it. The American people are tired of it. We voted for this, right? There are consequences. And CNN doesn't get it. They want to focus on all these things. But Stephen Miller gets it, and he just kills him here.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's not your position, Jake. You're just asking the question that we should supply America's food with exploitative illegal alien labor. I obviously don't think that's what you're implying. Only 1% of alien workers in the entire country work in agriculture. The top destination for illegal aliens are large cities like New York, like Los Angeles.
This is so important.
Love it.
Like Chicago. This is where the illegals are going. They're getting dropped off in some of these cities, the sanctuary cities. They're not out in the middle of California picking the crops. Are there migrants who are not documented picking the crops? Sure. Okay. But Stephen Miller makes it pretty clear here that, come on, Jake Tapper and CNN.
And small industrial towns, of course, all across the heartland, as we've seen with the Biden floods. None of those illegal aliens are doing farm work. Those 30,000 illegal aliens that Joe Biden dumped into Springfield.
I'm talking about the ones that are.
But I'm explaining this.
He tries to deflect.
No, you're kind of changing the subject.
No, he's not.
I mean, I'm talking about the ones.
I will give me 30 minutes. I'll go as deep as you want on this. We don't have 30 minutes. I don't have a 30. I'm talking about the ones that work in the agriculture industry. You can come back and we can talk about the ones in the cities. I swear.
Why is that not? That's a valid point. What he's saying is, Jake, you idiots.
Valid.
We're talking about this is the people that are invading the cities are the ones we're going after, and the criminals, right? Are we going to go out to the middle of the blueberry patch in California and round them up? I don't think so. I don't think that's the plan right now. So Miller finally has enough of it and says, look.
I'll do the whole answer. The illegal aliens that Joe Biden brought into our country are not full stop doing farm work. They are not. The illegal aliens he brought in from Venezuela, from Haiti, from Nicaragua, they are not doing farm work. They're in our cities collecting welfare.
Now, how about the Chinese nationals and the others that were streaming across the border, too? He's not even mentioning them.
The farmers, there is a guest worker program that President Trump supports. Over time as well, we will transition into automation, so we'll never have to have this conversation ever again. But there's no universe in which this nation is going to allow the previous president to flood our nation with millions and millions of illegal aliens who just get to stay here. And we are especially not going to allow a subset of those illegal aliens to rape and murder our citizens. So we are going to unapologetically enforce our immigration laws.
Thank you.
And as I'm sure you will celebrate, we are going to unleash the power and might of the U.S. government to eradicate the presence of transnational threats on our soil.
First of all, did you notice he threw the thing in there about automation? He's not wrong about that.
Nope.
That's something else we're going to have to confront. But thank you, Stephen Miller, for making that clear to Jake Tapper. It's not that hard. It really isn't. A lot of this is common sense. So then he brings up, and there's a little bit of, I guess, consternation on this, and there's nuance to this. But one of the stories of the day, and we talked about this yesterday, they went in and they froze a lot of these federal grants and the money. And so the one story earlier today, and Fred, I don't know if you have a different interpretation of this or not, but there was an announcement that said the Office of Management and Budget has rescinded the federal aid freeze, according to a memo. But then Carolyn Levitt came on and said, this is not a rescission of the federal funding freeze. It's simply a rescission of the OMB memo to end any confusion created by the court's injunction. So I'm not exactly sure on all of that, but here's, a question. Tapper gets into the freeze issue.
So let's just walk through this because obviously there's confusion. Is this pause going to affect Medicaid?
It does not affect any service that the government is required to provide. It does not affect any entitlement. It does not affect any service to citizens. It does not affect any individual benefit, any public assistance program, or anything of that nature.
Okay. So
I'm very glad for the chance to explain what's going on here. In fact, I could actually give you some backstory I think you'd find very useful, Jake.
This is interesting.
So we found after the president had issued a pause on funding to NGOs that resettle illegal immigrants, we found that bureaucrats at HHS were trying to funnel billions more dollars to those resettlement agencies and try to get around the executive order. It became clear that bureaucrats were still trying to funnel unapproved discretionary grants of funds to their pet projects. So OMB, led by Russ Vought, felt it was necessary to protect taxpayer resources to issue clearer guidance establishing for these discretionary grants of funding that are not directed by Congress, that they go through a political approval process at the agency.
So,
I'm crazy. That sounds fiscally, what's the word I'm looking for? Responsible.
Yes.
Responsible.
Yes.
Right? But Jake Tapper and CNN, they don't want to entertain anything like that when it comes to common sense. There's more audio that I can share. We'll take a break, though. We got Kilmeade coming up here, Sue's News in the next hour. Curtis Houck from Newsbuster. We're going to talk about some of the things that happened with Carolyn, but also some personal news about his battle against depression, which I have some relation to, and we'll get into that in the 5 o'clock hour. It's all coming up.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, as we start this commute, we look downtown, and if you are headed into Illinois, things look pretty good. But we're just getting a report of an accident westbound 6440 past Spady, so we'll head out there. Watch for that one. They're saying it's in the right lane and on the right shoulder. Now, if you are westbound on 44 downtown through the depressed section, That is right in front of the arch. We've got a slow go there. And eastbound 44 jams due to road work at the 55 split. There was an earlier accident that left us with some volume southbound 170 headed for 6440. And other than that, we're pretty good at this hour. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
All right, here we are in the last final days of the month of January, and very different than the beginning of January when it comes to the temperatures. But I also have a great offer through this whole month for my friends at Zeros, or from my friends at Zeros, for my friends who are listening right now. So it's 24% off. We only have a few more days to lock that in. I can tell you that there's going to be another offer next week during the month of February. We always have great offers from Zeros. This is just one of the best of the year. And if you lock in an appointment this week and you mention my name or 97.1 FM Talk, you can get 24% off your carpet cleaning, 24% off your upholstery cleaning, 24% off your area rugs, 24% off the ductwork. They can do it all. Smart thing to do the carpets and all that and the air ducts at the same time, because then you get 24% off all cleaning services from Zero Res right now during the month of January. You got to book this week, and I'll mention my name or 97.1 FM Talk. You can call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com. You spell it backward or forward, it spells the same. Zero Res.
Local news can come at you fast. Want the latest on what's happening in your backyard? Download the free Odyssey app. Follow your local news station, and you'll get alerts on the top stories making headlines in your city. You can stay in the know, no matter what you're up to, and be among the first to find out when news breaks. Plus, keep tabs on weather and traffic, so you're never caught off guard. To get started, download the Odyssey app. That's AUDACY, and follow your local news station.
Thinking of buying a new home? Think TR Hughes. TR Hughes Homes has great prices on beautiful new homes at 4 desirable locations. Charlestown Landing in North St. Charles, convenient to Highway 370. The Grove at Riverdale and St. Paul with standard 4-car garages, just 10 minutes from the St. Peter's Dearborns. Arbor Valley and Wentzville on Highway N with minimum half-acre wooded lots. And our newest community, Elkhorn Ridge in Truesdale, just west of Wright City, minutes from Highway 70. Come and see why TR Hughes is St. Charles and now Warren County's premier home builder. TRHughes.com.
This station is now conducting a test of the emergency alert system. This is only a test.
And a lot of people, when they come in, they'll say, I'm usually much more active, but since I've been in pain, I've had to limit the activities I'm doing.
You're listening to Janelle, an arch support specialist at the Good Feet store.
So he came in and he wanted to be able to keep up, play sports with his kids. And from there, we figure out which arch supports complement those activities. I fit him with the arch supports, and as I followed up with him, he's messaged me and said, I took my kids to the park today. We're walking, we're exercising, riding the bikes, and those are all things that he wasn't doing before because he was in pain.
For over 25 years, the Good Feet store's arch support specialists have been helping folks to live the life they love without foot, knee, hip, or back pain getting in the way.
Our goal is to have that long-term change for them. That's what's most important, is knowing that you leave an impact on someone's life. And I like that.
Try them for yourself. Stop in for a free personalized fitting and test walk at the Good Feet store.
Visit one of our 2 locations, Creve Coeur and Shiloh, Illinois, and at goodfeet.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
And this portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
Let's show our appreciation for local heroes. Mark Cox here. Nominate a first responder and their department could get lunch from Grill Master Tony's. I'll personally deliver it. Share their story at 971talk.com. Nominate them today.
St. Louis is home for conservative talk.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show.
You know, your boy RFK Jr. was up there for the confirmation hearings today, Sue.
I do know that.
Yep.
I'm sure they told him he was an anti-vaxxer and all kinds of attacking. I haven't had time to look.
You know who is right behind him, tearing up at times? I'm being serious.
Who?
Sheryl Hines. Right behind him.
They're
very
so
proud
wonderful
of
together.
RFK Jr. Here's one thing he said.
All of my kids are vaccinated. I've written many books on vaccines. My first book in 2014 The first line of it is I am not anti-vaccine, and the last line is I am not anti-vaccine.
We have Brian Kilmeade on the line with us this afternoon. Of course, he's coming back to St. Louis at the factory on March 22nd. We'll give you details on that. Brian, good afternoon. How are you on this Wednesday?
Good. I mean, I was trying to watch every minute of that. That was an excellent hearing, if you like entertainment. But I was doing the radio show at the same time. But it was pretty wild. It's good to see that Bernie Sanders is willing to buy a onesie. I thought that was a little
All right,
surprising.
now I haven't talked about that. You want to explain that? Because he had this big, they were making an allegation about an organization that RFK Jr. is affiliated with that was selling onesies that were somehow proclaiming kids to be not vaccinated.
Yeah, so he's selling, he goes, is it true you're anti-vax? Okay, that's true. All right, so if I'm taking your word, why is a group that you were involved with selling these onesies for $26? And whatever they said on it was was anti-vax. And he's like, well, I'm not associated with that group. He goes, but this onesie, are you saying you're not going to buy this onesie? So we're talking about a onesie with an 82-year-old man and a 70-year-old man about scribblings that on a website. It was just hysterical. And actually, Bernie Sanders was a relatively logical questioner. I think he's relatively open, probably wouldn't vote for RFK. But it's just amazing. That was his exhibit that he blew up on and put it on his stand like it's 1977. He put it on an easel on Oak Tag. And so it's crazy.
Bernie has this way. I don't know what it is about. We can play. Here's one of the questions on climate change.
I happen to believe that climate change is real, it's an existential threat, and it is a healthcare issue. Donald Trump thinks that it is a hoax originating in China. Question is, in your judgment, is climate change a hoax or is it real, causing devastating problems?
President Trump and I, from the beginning, from our first meeting, agreed to disagree on that issue.
Yeah, he said, and he kind of, I don't know if he didn't say it wasn't a hoax, but he went on to say that he disagrees with the president on that issue. What do you know at this point? Are there some Republican senators that are thinking about not voting for him along the lines of Hegseth, or is it looking like he might clear this?
Well, no, I think that he's still going to do. Murkowski and Collins are not on the committee. Either is McConnell. So I would assume that since he's unconventional, they're not going to vote for him. And then that would leave, you can't lose another, unless Cory Booker, evidently loves Kennedy, would vote for him. But I don't. He's never done anything courageous as a politician in his life. So that would leave Senator Cassidy. Senator Cassidy is a doctor who would not commit either way when he left today, the committee. So, and he had some very direct questions. I'm not sure he was satisfied by the answers. But remember, Tom Tillis also had some questions about Hegseth, but John Thune put the pressure on. And Cassidy was already on the president's bad side by voting for impeachment. Does he not care at this point? Or does he say, this is my chance to let it be known that I helped you out here?
Speaking of courage, how about when I talked about this at the beginning here of the show, there are still a handful of Democrats, quite a few in the House, that voted against the Laken Riley Act. President Trump signed that in front of her family today in the Oval Office at the White House. I don't know how anyone could be opposed to this, Brian. It's a pretty simple piece of legislation. There's complaints made about not affecting or not addressing some of the issues with the Dreamers. John Fetterman made it pretty clear. Okay, that's fine. Let's do that in another piece of legislation, right?
Of course. I mean, there's no way Dreamers is going to be isolated, because Dreamers is something they all agree on. You're born here. You come here as a young child, 2 years old. You're now 26. Should you kick them out? Well, they went to college. They probably played in your soccer team. But should we kick them out? Well, no. Okay, we can come to an agreement on that. Well, what is it? Well, you build the wall, and I'll pass the Dreamers. So there's always going to be a give and take with that. This is not the moment. Laken Riley is a layup. If an illegal alien commits a crime, should you throw him out of the country? Yes. And I had Senator Gallego of Arizona on with me today, a Democrat who co-sponsored it, as I mentioned, from Arizona, who understands who put him in. A very red state said, you can represent us, but we need you to vote smartly. And that's why I thought he was great. And it was a fantastic ceremony today in a very sad situation. So, and then there's some questions were thrown at Trump. He's like, just not the time.
Yeah. And by the way, and he didn't yell at anybody. He said, look, not the time. He was very, the presidential is the word. How about yesterday with Carolyn Levitt? I mean, that was pretty good. Now, I admitted at the show, look, she's my oldest son's age and does not have a ton of life experience, but holy smokes, she just slayed him in that press room yesterday, Brian, didn't she?
She got Trump experience.
Yes.
And she trained under Kayleigh McEnany. So she's been with him, I believe, all 4 years he's been out of office. So she's seen all the cases. She listens and watches. And so when you come out and you say anything, she probably knows where the policy started, whose ideas they were, who's implemented them, and then how to defend them, as opposed to KJP, who there's probably so little deliberation actually in the White House. She really had no idea what was happening because this president, to be kind, was not hands-on, as opposed to the current president. So if Levitt is a fly on the wall in the Oval, if she just pays attention on Trump's airplane, she becomes, and she has confidence and ability to communicate, which she has. She becomes a very good press secretary.
How about this contrast? This is the first day that KJP took over that podium.
Acutely aware that my presence at this podium represents a few firsts. I am a Black, gay, immigrant woman, the first of all three of those to hold this position.
Yeah, so we had identity politics on her first day. We actually had some business done. You know, I've covered every president since 1984, and Ronald Reagan was the first president I voted for in 1984. I simply can't remember a first, not only 100 days, 200, 300, maybe first couple of years, where more was accomplished in the first 100 hours of this administration, Brian.
It's pretty incredible. It's coming out. There's over 350 executive orders. One, I think they pulled back because it was not put out smartly. It just says we're going to freeze all programs. They say Social Security, Medicare. Oh, and by the way, and anything that any program that benefits you personally, we're going to leave in, for example, Meals on Wheels or Head Start. Okay, but what about everything else? What about funding cancer? So it was just the wrong way to put it out. Communication was bad, and they pulled it back. So they'll put it back out, but what he was trying to do with that last one that caused some controversy, flashbacks to 4 years ago, what he was trying to do is say, we're not just going to greenlight any spending programs. We're evaluating every one of them. But I think you do that, and then you come out and say, here are my cuts, as opposed to they're all frozen, personally. But I've never been in that position before. There's 450 separate federal agencies. They say that 75 are dormant, but we're still paying for them. So that would be a cut of 20% of the federal programs just by making the effort to find out where the money's going. That's what he's trying to do. Well, let's just see him just do it when he gets an OMB director in there that can do this himself. It looks like this was done possibly from another area of the White House.
I think this was interesting. He caught my attention on this. Look, he's basically saying we've known this for a couple of days, no more federal workforce from home. But then he said this.
Most of the people we're talking about have not been going to their federal offices in many, many years, from even before COVID. We may ask these people to prove that they didn't have another job during their so-called employment with the United States of America, because if they did, that would be unlawful, as you understand. A lot of people are getting paychecks, but they're actually working other jobs.
I don't know if you say something like that if you don't have evidence that some of that exists, but I thought that was interesting because that would be something you would want exposed, I believe.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Okay, Billy Jones in Sarasota says, okay, I am going to take your resignation option and get paid till September, but I'll leave. Or I want to stay. Prove to me you weren't working another job. What do you want to see? My bad washing machine, my bad shoes, the car that I missed a payment on. Like, how do you prove you didn't have another job?
Yeah, I don't know. But it is an interesting. I've seen people on the X, formerly Twitter, saying, "Oh, you're going to lose a lot of these good federal workers by insisting that they come into the office." Well, I guess we'll find out, right? How many people are vital to the operation of the country and how many are not. I love it personally because I think people should have to justify some of these positions. Forgive me, Brian Kilmeade, for using some audio from CNN, but I think you'll appreciate it if you haven't heard it. My friend Scott Jennings on last night with this person, Jenna Arnold. I don't know who she is, but she's not very smart on the immigration front.
Can't wait until American women can't get blueberries for their smoothies. I cannot wait until there is a full crackdown on all small businesses.
Okay, so blueberries for the smoothie, but that's where they went on the CNN panel. Unbelievable. And how about her voice? That was very attractive, wasn't it?
That it almost sounded fake. It almost sounded like they were doing a exaggerated CNN skit
Yeah,
on
it
SNL.
did sound like that. But,
Yeah, but
on the immigration front, I mean, here again, you got, Jake Tapper and some of the others out there not still understanding that if you come into the country illegally, you already broke the law, right?
How about having such a little idea of people that come into our country? They're picking our blueberries and mowing our lawns. So here's the thing: what don't they understand about criminals? And if you're sitting there hanging out with TDA, a Venezuelan prison gang, and it turns out you're a good guy who just happens to be here illegally, you're going to be brought in. You're going to show that you have a court appearance coming up, and you're going to make sure you show up. But if it turns out you've avoided your court appearances, or you've committed a crime, and you're hanging out with the kingpin of a Venezuelan drug gang, you're arrested too. And that's what people are pointing at. Well, you're picking up everybody. Not picking up everybody, but if you're hanging out with a gangster or a mobster, you have to explain yourself. And that's what Holman's saying. So Holman, I wrote him last night just to make sure I was clear on this. And he wrote me and said, we're going for the criminals, but there are some collaterals we're picking up.
There's going to
great.
be. Right.
Yeah, and number two, he said, we're picking up the pace. It's going to get faster. We're going to do more.
Well, that'll be fascinating to watch, and I think Tom's off to a really good start. What's coming up on Sunday night or Saturday night? Well, you can ask you about your plans on Sunday night, but what's coming up on your show on Saturday night, Brian? Sorry.
I mean, still working on a few things. We're going to do the media with Carly Shimkus. We'll find out the media moments that matter. We are working on the Food Babe. She's going to be joining us because she was with RFK as they came up with this different way for us to eat and digest, and some of the poisons are in our everyday foods, and some of the plastics in your Subway your Subway sandwiches and all this stuff. The Food Babe was one of the first. She was sitting right behind RFK at the hearings. She's going to be with us, staying off television until our appearance on Saturday night, and possibly having Senator Kennedy. We're also talking to John Radcliffe from the CIA director might be joining us. We're working on a few things. Anthony Robbins has indicated he might come on with us on Saturday. So we've got a few balls in the air because it is still Wednesday.
Yes, I'm aware of that. We also have to mention you're coming back here to St. Louis. I said that, and there are tickets available right now. Brian is coming to the Factory. It's a Saturday night, March 22nd, so it's a perfect weekend event. You can go to briankilmeade.com. You can buy tickets at the Factory. There are VIP tickets still available, right, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, I cannot believe the loyalty your listeners have. I think we sold two. I don't know what you guys did over the weekend, but sold a crazy number of tickets. And the thing is, it is the biggest venue I've ever been in. I mean, there's 1,700 seats, and we're over halfway there. So hopefully we can set a record. And Fox Nation's going to have all types of specials there for people who show up. It's an unbelievable app that we have. I think you've seen some of the comedy stuff that we've been advertising and some of the specials. It's really cool. Fox is putting a lot of money into it. So if you come, I think you'd be looking at a year free there too. And I'll be able to talk about history, liberty, and laughs, our past, what's happening now in our present, and as well as talk about where we are as a country. I think that this show is getting better each time. Hopefully we'll be hitting full stride by March 22nd.
Well, and I've told you, you're going to be blown away. This venue is absolutely beautiful. And I would say this about, filling the seats. If just half the amount of people have asked me and hit me up for freebies for that buy tickets, Brian, I think you're going to be in good shape because I'm getting hit up left and right. So I have to tell people, go to the website.
You're going to come, Mark, you're going to be on stage at some point, right? You're opening up this whole
thing? I hope so. I'm doing a comedy set right before. No, I'm going to do anything that you want me to do, and I'd be happy to do it. And we're looking forward to it. Have a great week. We'll talk next week.
All right, stay within yourself.
Yep. Go buy tickets, briankilmeade.com, The Factory, March 22nd. It's a Saturday night in St. Louis.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
We've got some issues reported by MoDOT. Some debris eastbound 44 at Jameson. Watch out as you go through there. They're saying it was in the center lane. Now, we've just got the beginnings of some volume out there. Westbound 70, a little slow at Jennings Station Road. 6440 is lining up, and this is just past Kings Highway out through McCausland. Then some moderate volume between McKnight and Spady. Southbound 170, a little slow at 64. Southbound 270, moderate volume from Page down through Manchester. 44 westbound, a little bit slow right there at the 270 split. 55 has a slow pocket, especially headed down toward Revis Barracks in the construction zone. And eastbound 44 jams at the 55 split. That's all due to road work. This report brought to you by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Furnace funky?
Then make one call.
And Jerry Kelly will be there the very next day.
Call anytime, 8 to 8, 8 days a week.
And Jerry Kelly will fix your furnace or install a new one the very next day.
JerryKelly.com. If better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today and start the year off knowing you're giving your liver some well-deserved relief. You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
Well, Missouri sports fans, I've got great news. Underdog Fantasy is now available to play in our state. Underdog, the best place to cash in on all your takes during the playoffs, which players are hot, which players are not. With over 5 million happy players and $2 billion won, Underdog makes it fun and easy to cash in on all your favorite athletes' performances. It really is easy. They have the Champs game, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money. All you got to do is choose higher or lower on the stats. If it's the NHL, it's goals. If it's the NHL or the NFL, it's yards, touchdowns, interceptions, and more. Baseball is going to fire up again soon enough, even though we don't have a team really here in St. Louis. But the Super Bowl is just around the corner as well. And even, if you want to do something that's kind of fun with, a couple of receivers from the Eagles, maybe Xavier Worthy from the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, you put something together with passing yards, receptions, and receiving yards, cook up some fire entries. You're going to be really, really happy. It's a lot of fun. And by the way, Underdog is the only Champs platform that puts the power to cash out in your hands. You can press the Win Now button to cash out. You get second chances with Underdog Rescues. So you can get your money back if there is an early injury. That's a nice option. Underdog's double flex option allows you to take 2 L's and then turn them into a W at some point as well. So check out Underdog. It's the best place to play. Sign up and deposit now with the promo code MARKR, M-A-R-K-R, to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. And if you're in Missouri, you'll automatically get an additional $50 in bonus cash when you play your first $5. That's promo code MARKR. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. $10 deposit minimum. See UnderdogFantasy.com for terms and conditions. Concerned with your play, call 800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
Being first in line can be very important to homeowners. First in line for the plumber, first in line for the HVAC guy, first in line for Banner Construction. It's Banner Construction's winter home event, and you can be first in line this spring and save before the annual price increases. Banner Construction is a James Hardy and Pella Winter replacement specialist, and now is the best time to schedule a free in-home consultation with no obligation. Call 314-569-1050 or see them online and have a banner day.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Simple Minds, Alive and Kicking Tour 2025. June 5th at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. One unforgettable night. Special guests, Soft Cell, and Modern English. Tickets on sale Friday at 10 a.m. at LiveNation.com. Alive and Kicking Tour 2025. Simple Minds Live.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Thursday, will the president's spending freeze hold up in court? We'll talk to Shannon Bream of Fox News Sunday at 8:20.
The Mark Cox Morning Show, weekdays from 5 to 9, right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
We have our friend Alex Rich from 198 who visits on a Wednesday. Today happens to be a Wednesday, so he will be with us. Got a bunch of topics to toss out to the group this afternoon. Sue will have Sue's News. We have, we have Curtis Houck on a regular basis. Curtis is with Media Research Center Newsbusters. We'll talk to him after 5 o'clock about Carolyn Levitt and her first White House briefing and some of the new media rules that they're instituting, bringing new media into the briefing room, for example. But Curtis also, and I don't know how I've never noticed this before, he's got a tweet that is pinned at the top of his page about his battle against depression. I've been somewhat open about mine and anxiety in particular, so I thought it'd be worth a conversation because I think conversations like that are helpful these days where you might know that you're not alone in some of this stuff. So he's going to join us after 5 o'clock. So this maybe was one of my favorite questions this morning at the RFK Jr. hearing.
Did you say that exposure to pesticides causes children to become transgender?
No, I never said that.
Okay, I have the record that I'll give to the chairman, and he can make his judgment about what you said.
Good grief. What I know about listening to this morning is that there's a lot of nuance to some of the things that Bobby Kennedy has said over the years. But one of the things that I started my morning with, and I'll just kind of encapsulate this briefly here before we get to the top of the hour. I've always told people ask me, where do you find news that's unbiased? Well, you really can't, okay? But you can go to Real Clear Politics, and if you go to realclearpolitics.com, it really is a compendium of all the opinion pieces of the day, of audio. So, for example, when I went there this morning, there were two, interesting columns, and one of the things that they do is they make it very easy for you to, you can pick or choose, or you can read the other side. And what they'll do is they'll put the pieces, like, for example, the one that I'm going to talk about here, Carolyn Kennedy. My cousin is a predator, right? So Carolyn Kennedy's out there. So then Sasha Stone. I've talked about Sasha before. She's the Hollywood person who had the awards website who was rabidly left-wing. I never unfriend people on Facebook. I unfriended Sasha Stone because 10 years ago, she was such a kook on some of this stuff, right? Well, not unlike Matt Taibbi and Mike Schellenberger and some of the others, she had an epiphany. And her column, which is right below the Carolyn Kennedy thing, says Carolyn Kennedy is why I'm no longer a Democrat.
Yep.
So what Carolyn Kennedy said, and she did this in a video, I'll just kind of paraphrase, it's no surprise that he keeps birds of prey as pets because Bobby himself is a predator. She said, recalling how he put baby chickens and mice in a blender to feed his hawks and provided drugs to his cousin. So she says, while he may encourage younger generations to attend AA meetings, Bobby is addicted to attention and power. Bobby preys on the desperation of parents' sick children, vaccinating his own kids while building a following by hypocritically discouraging other parents from vaccinating theirs. And then she talked about, and this came up at the hearing today, Samoa's 2019 outbreak of measles. And they're trying to pin this on him.
Come on.
But when you hear the answers and you hear the nuance and the details of that, I don't think there's really a way to do that. But let me focus on what Sasha Stone said, because she says, with the exception of RK Jr., I never want to have to listen to anyone in the Kennedy family ever again. They've been surfing on the Kennedy name for decades now in underserving ways, up to and including these baseless attacks, personal and ugly, against RFK Jr. the day before his confirmation hearing.
Yep.
Did it really have to go all the way to little pets in a blender, to talk of violence, to calling a predator? Her hysteria, Carolyn Kennedy's hysteria, mirrors the same hysteria shared by everyone on the left now. See, this is where I think it's very important. That's a parallel, right? There is no doubt the hysteria will play out tomorrow, which is today. And by the way, it did, right? It is that hysteria, Sasha wrote, that disconnects from reality of everyday life of America, that has wrecked the once great movement of the left and very nearly wrecked this country.
Yes.
And it is exactly the reason I left the Democrats and have done everything I could to take them out of power.
Yes.
This is where she raises brilliant points, right? Did they care when children were being told that they could choose their own gender and were sent down a path of puberty blockers and surgeries only to wake up with bodies that don't work? And I have amazing audio from Jamie Reed in front of the legislature in Kansas today on that very topic, right? She sees Trump as a threat to democracy, whatever that means. But he did, this today. Where were the Kennedys on this issue? Oh, I know, hiding as usual. What politician even cared about what was happening to the kids in schools at the hands of corrupt, too powerful mental and medical health industry? I saw some slides today on Fox about the learning loss. My daughter's in 4th grade. The learning loss of girls in particular on reading and math for the last couple of years are down significantly.
And they are panicked that somebody with the Kennedy name who does not agree with them and who is a rational and calm thinker might actually get in there.
Sasha said, what are they so afraid of? That the people might have found for the first time the one Kennedy who actually gives a blank about them?
Exactly.
Does she really think that it's RFK Jr. who will ruin the family name and not, Uncle Teddy and that late night drive that killed a young woman? That's a great point. How about how women were brought to her own father to be used and then discarded? That's something that people don't like to talk about with her dad, right? Because that's verboten. I mean, you could say the same thing about Martin Luther King, right? Yeah. There's lots of flawed people. We have a flawed person in the White House right now. You have a flawed person you're listening to on the radio right now. We all have things in our past that we are not proud of and that hopefully with maturity we correct and, learn from. But I think what Sasha says is right. It's panic that is ensued.
Yes.
They were panicked because it was this so-called threat to democracy. But now they see how much he's getting done. Well, they don't like that. Right? They don't like that at all. Sue's News coming up.
Catch anything you missed today by getting the show podcast at 971talk.com. Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
There was a stall reported eastbound 370 past 70. Watch for that on the right side. And we still have mainly moderate volume westbound 70, Jennings Station Road, past the airport. Westbound 6440, slow pockets from Kings Highway out through McCausland. A little bit slow at Lindbergh, moderate volume there. And southbound 270 is picking up volume, but it's still mainly moderate approaching Page, down through Doherty Ferry, and again at Gravois. Now, road work is causing delays on southbound 55 south of Arsenal, in pockets down through Rebus Barracks, and we've got moderate volume in the Peevely area as well. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic at 97.1 FM Talk.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Drury Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Drury Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Drury Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Now Taxes is using Credit Karma, where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get your refund so you can do more with it right in Credit Karma. Now this is taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. See guaranteed details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
Setting goals for your retirement is one thing, but knowing how to achieve those goals is another.
What are your wishes, hopes, and dreams? What's retirement look like for you? Because everybody, that picture is different.
For tips on building a better nest egg, listen to the All Financial Hour with Steve All, Saturday mornings at 6, here on 97.1 FM Talk.
You can also visit yourmoneymattersstl.com for more details.
Extreme cold weather coming in through St. Louis this mid-January probably. If you're having issues with your furnace, give me a call. If you're told you need a new furnace, without a question, give me a call. You'll be happy you did. We're all the same when it comes to like buying a furnace and air conditioner, just like with pretty much anything else. If you're like me, I want a furnace that heats, and in the heat of summer, I want an air conditioner that works. Pretty much simple. So is a more high-efficient air conditioner or more high-efficient furnace give me more heat, more cooling? No, it doesn't at all. It gives you the exact same. So with that being said, you need to call me. Bart Inman, one easy number. Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600. Again, 314-293-2600, or you can do the online thing, and it's Bart Inman, Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
When someone hears the words, "You have cancer," it's one of the darkest moments in their life. Light the Night brings light to the darkness of cancer by uniting survivors, patients, and supporters in the cause to end cancer. Friends, families, and coworkers form a community of hope, raising funds in support of the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Together, we walk with lanterns held high to light the path to cures. Last year alone, the FDA approved 18 new drug therapies and treatments to treat blood cancers. The impact of LLS-supported research goes beyond blood cancer. The discoveries made in blood cancer research have led to breakthrough treatments for many cancers and other serious diseases. When we walk, cancer runs. Join the movement to end cancer today. Visit us at lightthenight.org.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
Over a federal funding freeze. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. President Trump calls it a short-term pause to search for waste and fraud in federal grants and loans.
This in no way affected Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, or other entitlements that Americans depend on.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer calls it short-sighted and dumb. The order was blocked by a judge yesterday after lawsuits.
It's a long war. This may be a small victory, but it's a long war, and we got to continue to fight it.
The White House announcing earlier it was rescinding a memo on the order, but not the freeze. President Trump signing the first bill of his second presidency, the Laken Riley Act, named after a Georgia nursing student who was killed by an illegal immigrant. Her mom, Allison Phillips, thanking the president during today's ceremony.
He said he would secure our borders and that he would never forget about Laken. And he hasn't. He's a man of his word. We trust that he will fight for the American people.
The law requires illegal immigrants accused of crimes, including theft, to be detained. It won bipartisan support, but some Democrats opposed it, concerned about due process rights. Health Secretary nominee Robert F. Kennedy Jr. trying to reassure senators that he supports vaccines.
My question is exactly when did you decide to sell out your life's work and values to get this position?
New Hampshire Senator Maggie Hassan among the Democrats questioning where he stands on many issues and whether he's a conspiracy theorist.
That is a pejorative, Senator, that's applied to me, mainly to keep me from asking difficult questions of powerful interests.
Kennedy says he's pro-safety and is concerned about Americans' health. The Senate just confirming former Congressman Lee Zeldin to be EPA administrator. Former New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez sentenced to 11 years in prison for corruption.
Regardless of the judge's comments today, I am innocent.
He's appealing. America is listening to Fox News.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
No complaints for evening plans weather-wise. With temperatures falling out of the 50s into the upper 40s, we can deal with that. Clouds will be taking over, and we'll eventually get down to 33. Thursday, clouds, Periods of rain, a couple of non-severe thunderstorms. The focus on the afternoon, 50. Thursday night, periods of rain, a couple of non-severe storms, 45. Friday, scattered morning showers, otherwise a mix of clouds and sunshine at 53. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
I'm Chad Robison with Your Money Now. The Federal Reserve announcing last hour they're holding interest rates steady as they await further inflation and jobs data, along with more clarity on the economic impact of President Donald Trump's policies. The president has previously called for interest rates to be lowered even further. On Wall Street, stocks finished the session lower. The Dow fell 136 points. The S&P 500 dropped nearly 30, and the Nasdaq tumbled a half a percentage point, losing 101 points. The price of coffee is on the rise at coffee shops and grocery stores across the country. Colombian beans have jumped in wholesale price by nearly $1 from 2023 through last year. Spotify and Universal Music Group are signing a multi-year deal that may introduce tiered subscriptions with special perks for superfans. The two didn't announce any specifics, including how long the deal lasts. That's Your Money Now.
My son loves to fly kites, but my active psoriatic arthritis can sometimes hold me back. Now with Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm ready to go. Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults, helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi today and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts.
We have Sue's News coming up here in just a couple of minutes. I want to talk about real estate here in the St. Louis area, and that's the Gelman team. If you can hear my voice, they can help you. The Gelman team with eXp Realty, they like to say they're a marketing company that specializes in real estate, and they will work as hard as they can to help you sell your home, get you in your next home. And they have options. One of the things we like to point out, Mark and Neil do as well. If you need an instant cash offer, you can certainly get that. If you want to sell your home for top dollar with their proven strategy, maybe a little different than the strategies you're used to. They may ask you to stage your home just because you're going to get more money that way. They will guide you into the direction of a successful real estate venture, and they'll make sure you're comfortable with everything. It was tough enough when I had to buy a home, I don't know what it was, 8 years ago now. You know, the real estate market was tough. It's very different. It's still tough, but it's not impossible. And they can navigate the waters exceptionally well here in St. Louis. The Gelman team is online at thegelmanteam.com, or you can call 314-336-1991. Oh, by the way, don't forget about this great tool that they have on their website. If you click this part of the website that says, what's the real current value of your home, you enter a little information, they'll kick it right back to you. So check that out as well. The Gelman team.
Hey, it's Annie and Stewie here talking about the market right now for buying a home. If you've been thinking about relocating and you're not sure if the season is right now to go buy, Stewie, you've got something to say about that.
You know what, Annie? This is the season. Be smart. Traditionally, the wintertime is when it's slower for sellers. They're more apt to give you a better price. Take advantage now. Now, here's what's going to happen if you wait. You wait till spring. There's going to be lower interest rates, more bidding wars, higher prices. Not the smart way to go. Buy now, pay the higher interest rate. When the rates drop in spring, you can always refinance for free. Then you'll get the right price for the right home and make sure you get the house without all the other bidding wars happening, and you'll be happier and you'll pay less at the end of the day.
And when he says you can refinance for free, that's with the Bagel Loan. With your purchase or refinance, $0 in closing costs on your new mortgage. 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Google the Bagel Loan, NMLS number 226715.
A little controversy for your afternoon. The Mark Reardon Show.
Beautiful Beautiful Wednesday afternoon in St. Louis, ahead of a bunch of rain tomorrow, but mild temperatures. We like that after the deep freeze from a few weeks ago. Alex Rich from Y98 joins on a Wednesday. It happens to be a Wednesday. He's with us in the studio. How are you?
Always excited to be here, Mark.
I'm glad to hear that. I like the enthusiasm for sure.
Yeah.
Sue will have.
You got to
Sue's
come into this
news.
show optimistic.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, that's true.
That's for sure.
So Ethan brought something to my attention. Alex, I don't know if you've seen this. I had not seen the video until I pulled up the Channel 5 coverage of this. Fred, did you see the brawl that took place at SLU?
I was at the game last night.
Wait a second, you were there? Did you cause the brawl?
Yeah, I did. I thought it was you, but
So what happened? So they played. First of all, they played VCU, Virginia Commonwealth. They beat them. That's an important win.
Huge win
for the Billikens. But then there's video after the game behind the VCU bench, and people are yelling and screaming at one another. There's men and women and pushing and shoving.
yeah, it was like during there was like a stop and play, and then it just kind of
It was
erupted.
like 2 minutes left in the game.
Yeah, it was actually during the game.
What was it about? During the game.
It was during the game.
Do we know anything about what happened?
We know that an old dude ended up really bloodied by the end of it, but besides that, I don't know how much news there
Now
is
look,
on how it started or anything.
I don't know, what has been said or not said, but I believe that VCU has a player from St. Louis on their team.
This is true.
And it looked like a lot of his family members were involved in the middle of the altercation. So, like, people with his jersey on, I think people around him were probably talking trash and whatnot. But he's a kid from St. Louis, so there was a large group there.
Well, he played his freshman year at SLU, and then they talked about it last night on the broadcast. He didn't have a scholarship, so he transferred to Southeast Missouri, and then he was one of the better players in conference, so he then transferred up to VCU. So, but yeah, this is a guy that did play for the Billikens, so that would make sense.
Yeah,
it did occur behind
I didn't know all that, but that was from the angle I saw. It looked like there was a lot of family members.
I just posted Corey Miller from Channel 5. When you do the search, he's got a pretty good video that he said is an extended view of. He says an extended look of my limited view, but it's still a pretty good view of what happened. It's mainly the one that I think I see out there in the Channel 5 used. So I just said on the X formerly Twitter, hey, somebody's got to know what this was all about. So we'll see if we get some reaction on either the YouTube channel or on social media, just because somebody's got to have the dirt, right?
There was, and I will say this too, this went really viral last night across all kinds of sports platforms, but I think that my favorite comment or caption on this, Barstool Sports saying, don't bother showing up to an Atlantic 10 basketball game if you're not willing to fight to the death for this stuff.
Right. Right.
Now, let me take you from one brawl to another, because there was a political brawl last night, too, in the south suburbs of Chicago, South Holland, Illinois. One of the things that they're doing with this particular story is if you Google this, you'll see them billing this woman, her name is Tiffany Henyard, as the worst mayor in America. Ladies and gentlemen, hold on, slow down with that tag. We got some competition right here in St. Louis.
Yes, we do.
I think L.A. would like to get in on that whole deal as well.
Can she spell Eagles?
You know what? That's a good point too. You got the Philadelphia mayor. Did you see people are having fun with that? There was somebody that made a cake.
Good.
Somebody made a cake that said "We're ready," and they spelled it wrong. So, but this was nuts, and I didn't pull the audio because you really can't hear much except for people yelling and screaming. But something happened, and then someone called the mayor the B word, rhymes with witch, and her boyfriend, maybe you can't blame him, hauled off on this guy, and it just got crazy. I always like a good city council meeting that gets violent. I think that's a good thing for America. It's in South Holland, Illinois, which is near Chicago.
That's a good thing for America. That's what Mark Reardon said.
I'm kidding. It's horrible.
Of course
I
it
mean,
is.
you look at this, and again, I don't know what happened behind the SLU bench, but people got hot. I want to know the story there. But no, act civil. Right? Yeah.
Why is that so difficult?
Apparently it is. Anger issues. Look, I have this story. I'm going to share this here, and it's a very serious story. I don't know if you read about it this morning, this road rage incident that occurred that is just horrific.
Where?
And in St. Louis, down right here. And it was a guy from Manchester that they finally arrested. But you got to hear this story because I'll share my thoughts on this in a little bit because I think it's important, some of the messaging about that. But let's do this.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
Ooh, we've got on this day in history in this one with a song that I love. On this day in history, 42 years ago, in 1983, this song by Marvin Gaye peaked at number 3.
Should have been a number 1.
Thank you, which
what
is
beat
the
it?
whole point.
know you
mean,
got
come
to-
on. This is
Right?
like one of
This
the
is a great
best
song.
songs of the entire 80s.
You know,
Yes.
I actually performed this song in college at a talent. It was Big Man on Campus talent show, and I performed for whatever reason. I felt like I wanted to go with sexual healing, so I did my rendition
Is
of.
there any recording of that?
Yeah, no
we could probably
kidding.
find it. Yeah,
Exist.
yeah. I
How'd
think
you
you
do?
could YouTube it.
Did
I
you
did.
win?
I won actually. Yeah, I did.
Okay. Then
I
that's
did.
all you can ask for. You know what? I didn't look up what would beat it, and I should have. Yeah, but that was 42 years ago, 1983, number 3. I remember recording it off the radio on my jam box.
We used to do that.
On my
Isn't
boom
that
box.
crazy, though?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These kids, they're so spoiled.
Would this song come on at like a party back in the day? Is this like would the vibe just hit when this song came on? Mark,
Now,
mostly
you're
I'm
looking
looking
at me.
I'm looking at you mostly, Mark.
I'm just telling you, like, this was the era that I actually was a disc jockey in a bar, and this was
Right.
not necessarily one that I remember playing. Maybe I played it for a slow dance, but no, it was certainly a popular song. The vibe, the bass pattern, everything about this song is just cool.
It
and
is
Marvin Gaye is
cool.
cool, right?
Yes, exactly.
All right, glad you refreshed our memory on that, Sue, for sure.
Good. And then on this day, 30 years ago, in 1995, was when the 49ers beat San Diego 49-26 in Super Bowl 29. The reason I'm bringing this up is because it made the 49ers the first team to win 5 Super Bowls. And, of course, Steve Young was MVP. It kind of takes you back to think of that. He threw for 6 touchdowns and broke Joe Montana's record. Now, of course, since then, they've lost that record to the Steelers and the Patriots, who've each won 6. Cowboys have won 5. Bleh. New York Giants, Green Bay, Kansas City are next with 4 each.
5 coming up for one of those
Well,
teams.
we'll see. And the numbers are in, by the way, a record 58 million people watched the AFC Championship game between the Bills and the Chiefs on Sunday. Now, not as many folks turned in to watch the Eagles beat the Commanders, but they think part of that is because it's the early
It's
game.
the time. Yeah, no, of course.
And the early game just doesn't get as much
But
viewership.
That number proves how the NFL, with the referees, totally fixed that game to make sure that the Chiefs went to the Super Bowl. There's no doubt in my mind that that's what happened.
There
right?
was way more attention on
Hashtag sarcasm.
on that Chiefs-Bills game, though. I mean, I think even if that would have been the early one,
Agreed.
It
Let me
probably
tell you
beats
something.
out that
That
other
is
game
an
in attendance.
incredible number. 50 million?
58
That's
million.
58 million people. That, I mean, the Super Bowl would be 120, probably double that, but still.
Yeah, we'll see. But they say that the NFC Championship game really only got 44.2, but is that
that's
horrible? Come on, right?
And it will be Burkhart and Tom Brady on the call for Fox.
Really?
Yes, for the Super Bowl.
Tom Brady.
Have you not heard Tom Brady?
I haven't yet. I keep getting the Romo games, and I like Tony Romo.
I like Tony,
and
too.
I know people can't stand him. I think he's
I love
great.
Tony
Everything
Romo. I
he
think
says
he's
will happen.
phenomenal.
I do too.
Brady's not as good as a broadcaster, but he knows that,
He's
and he's
young.
trying to get better.
He's
But
gotten much better as the years
I
gone
think he
on.
has.
I think he's gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
Has
It'll
he?
be okay.
Yeah, no,
good.
he has.
I mean, it's bound to happen. You
He's-
got to get better.
They're not even in my opinion, the best broadcast crew for Fox. I think Joe Davis and Greg Olson do a phenomenal job. But
I'm not a big
when-
Joe Davis guy. I don't
Really?
get that
Oh,
guy.
man,
No,
love Joe
I know a
Davis.
lot of people love him as a player. Like he does a lot of baseball too, but
the
he doesn't
Dodgers.
really.
I
he
always
doesn't do
feel
it
like
for
Greg
me.
Olson doesn't look like a real person.
Wait, I got to
You
look
know
him
what I
up
mean?
now. I can't think of who he is.
What do you mean by that?
He's a
wax figure.
You know what I mean? It's just kinda,
No, I don't.
I agree.
Fred, no,
Yeah,
you just
you're
kind of
right.
look at him. You're like,
Oh.
"There's no way this guy's
No, I
real."
kind of get
He
that.
could be AI.
Yeah.
Totally.
Look at that
I think
picture.
this guy has been a robot the
This
whole
is what
time.
I
Alex
think
says
you're
to
right
the
about that.
You know, if you don't know what Greg Olson looks like, literally look this guy. The picture that Sue is looking at, it
looks-
describes
yeah.
everything I'm
We'll
saying
add it to the
perfectly.
stream. We
It
can
does.
get your guys' opinions on it.
Wow. Well, he's a robot. That's the answer to that. We've solved it. By the way, NFL viewership is down from last season. It's just the playoffs that kicked in that one particular record. All right, the world's most visited museum is the Louvre in Paris. You been there, Fred?
No, I
Alex?
haven't.
I've not.
Oh, well, Mark
I
and
have. Yeah, I've been there twice.
Well, here's what's fun. Last year, 8.7 million people visited it. That is so many. So they've decided, all right, we've got to renovate this place. And renovations have begun, and they're going to last for years. Like we're talking about a decade. And as a result, they're taking the Mona Lisa, which is currently in a room with a bunch of other stuff, usually surrounded by people. and they're going to make their own room for the Mona Lisa. And this way, I personally think so, because, of course, they can have more security, but they'll have its own entrance, and they can make you pay more to see.
Oh,
Really?
Really? It's a revenue generator.
Yep. They're going to just charge you to go in that particular room. It's going to have its own entrance. Of course. Now, besides the updates, they're also going to be expanding the Louvre, which is a 6-figure undertaking. It's like $800-some-odd million.
Oh, goodness.
And the last major update was in the 80s, and that's when that glass triangle was added and revealed. So
yeah, see, that was extremely controversial because at the time,
Yes,
people
yes.
thought, I mean, I think a lot of us have gotten used to it over the years, and it does, if you're there, and I've actually taken a really cool bike tour where you ride around the Louvre and
It's really
some,
cool.
some of those parts. But it was controversial because it was more modern than everything else that was sitting there architecturally,
exactly.
right?
It was such a huge contrast, and a lot of people hated it. But if you're going to Paris and want to see that, get there now before
I call
they
it the,
start
I call it the
overcharging.
Louvre. The Louvre.
And Sue, you said 8 million people.
8.7.
To put that in perspective, you think the Cardinals used to draw 3 million a year for all of their home games? 80 home games.
Yeah, that's a good
Double
point,
that,
Fred. And
picture
add
all
some.
that and add some.
Yeah.
All
That's
going
crazy.
through the Louvre in 1 year.
It's
a
nuts.
lot.
When you look at the Mona Lisa, it's like a sea of short people, and then you have to go to the back if you have any kind of height, and they just stay there and stare. So I don't know how they're going to do it in one room. They're just
I like
gonna
to
let
go in
you
there and spread like tomato sauce and stuff on the paint.
Well, I was going to say
Jeez.
that's probably
Paint.
they're probably adding an extra layer of security for it.
Well, you know what? In all seriousness, they may be.
They may.
Yeah,
you know,
they've
maybe
had
they're
issues with
maybe
that.
they're got a security guy at the door there.
I think Sue's right about the revenue generator, though.
Oh, heck yeah. You need a special ticket now to see the Mona Lisa.
Oh, goodness.
Elon Musk has announced, he just announced that X, formerly Twitter, has done a deal with Visa to create something called the X Money account. And this will mean X users could have digital wallets. So essentially, if Fred and I are both on X, it's almost like Venmo. We could send money between ourselves or buy things. I think it's a stroke of genius. You can essentially exchange money like you can with Venmo. It will allow for secure and instant funding to you and your X wallet, and they'll use Visa Direct to get it done. They're going to debut it this year. Of course, Elon Musk is going to somehow monetize that, or at least get you be
Right.
able to do that.
Does
within
anyone
that.
else in the room, do you use any other services besides Venmo? Like, do you use PayPal and there's what's
I
that
use
other
PayPal.
Well, I have to accept a lot of payments because I'm out there,
hustling?
doing my thing.
Because you're a whore. Yes, I
yeah.
get it. Yeah. But
No, I'm playing gigs around town. So sometimes people do like try to pay me on other stuff. It's weird.
PayPal
like,
or Cash App.
Zelle or Cash
Zelle?
App. It always
Probably.
sketches me out a little bit. Venmo seems like
What about
the most
Apple
trusting.
Pay? Does anyone use
Apple
Apple
Pay.
Pay?
Apple Pay is great.
But that's a
have
little different because Apple Pay is set up through your
Your
tap
text.
your account, whatever debit card
Right,
or
it's
credit
not
card.
an option.
Yeah.
No, but you could just Apple Pay is super easy to send
It is.
somebody money because you just literally text them, send
Yeah.
this person.
Oh, you can do that with
Wow.
like, from your bank account?
Mark, try
Yeah.
it. Pull
Okay,
up my
no,
name in your phone and say send Alex $100, and it'll pop up
There's
Apple
no
Pay.
way.
I'm
Try
telling
it.
you.
Try it.
I'm
Okay.
telling you.
This is for research.
I'm not doing 100.
For science.
I'll tell you
I
that
think
right
it
now.
does. Or there's like a
Send
little.
Alex $5. Okay.
Did it
No,
work?
Nothing's happened. Should I just send
Well,
that
maybe-
Do you have to ask
You do
Siri?
have to
You
have
know
it-
the little
have you ever
drop down
used it-
arrow?
Have you ever used it before?
Siri? Siri's not responding.
Yeah, say Siri, send Alex Rich $5,
Okay, well,
and
it's
it
not
should
doing- it's not
your
doing it
your
right
Apple
now.
Pay should
I think you're
come
making
right
this
up.
up, by the way.
I can confirm that he's not.
I'll try it later.
Do you know how crazy you sound?
Well, it's not working right
you're
now.
off the mic just yelling.
Why don't you?
Speaking of
Fred, you always do that.
I do.
You're like, Siri, text
every
whatever.
single message that I get from Fred says sent by Siri.
I know, it
Every
does, it
single
does.
one.
Yeah.
But
And it always says
We'll show
thanks,
ya.
too. He's got, like, do you have a signature? Because every time you send, I know the ones that you're sending via Siri says thanks, Fred. He even says that to me.
Oh wow! I didn't know that.
Speaking of crazy, Jackie on the YouTube does think that Alex is crazy. She says that Greg Olson does look like a real person.
Oh,
I don't
no.
think so.
Throw that back
Based
out
on
there.
this photo.
That guy looks like he'd be a Saturday Night Live character.
Man, I got to figure out how to do this Apple Pay thing. Now I'm really.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, let me
You
tell you
guys
something.
wouldn't mind
Sue's
finishing
news.
the rest
Yes,
of the
Sue,
show.
you're hosting
this
the
is
rest of
going
the
to, yeah, okay. All right, you know how CVS and other places have been keeping more stuff behind locked shelves?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, CVS is testing a new system where you will be able to unlock these cabinets on your own through their app, but only if you're on their Wi-Fi. And this, of course, gives them all your data. So it's a data haul by them, but it's easy on the customer because you can pop and finally get the deodorant or whatever you want out of there without having to get somebody to unlock it.
That should not be legal.
I was.
How about we just unlock them to be in general?
Well, because people steal all that crap.
I
so
had
they had to put it behind them.
I was at a grocery store the other day, and I had to get something, I don't know, like dryer sheets. And they were locked up.
That's
and
crazy.
so after the guy, like 5 minutes later, he came down and slowly got the dryer sheets out.
It takes forever.
Complained about it because he couldn't keep loading the eggs in the, where he was because he had to come out me. Then after he left, I realized, hey, I need laundry detergent too.
Oh, no,
which was in the same thing, and I had to call him back.
Wait,
to come back.
What was this? You really had
at a grocery store.
Yeah.
Dryer sheets were in the lot.
Same thing with Tide. You
That's
can't
nuts.
get to
Right.
it. People steal
My
it.
question is, though, people steal it, but what's stopping them from stealing it after
With the app.
you hand
Right.
it to them?
If they
and-
open it with the app, what does that
Well,
somehow?
see, then you could trace them, I guess, because they're on your
Can you?
Wi-Fi and you can trace them through the app. I don't really understand it.
I need to know, Fred, if it was the same guy that came back.
Oh yeah, I think it was only one
that
guy.
is awful.
The one guy for the whole store.
no.
Did he say
Yeah.
anything? Was he surprised?
I apologized as he was walking down
I'm
the
sorry.
aisle
I'm
again.
sorry for making you do your
There's
job,
no way that
sir.
they can like that. Look, when I go to Vegas, Rick lives not too far. It's like a half mile from a CVS, and this is a nice area of Henderson, Nevada, right? And I am stunned by. Now I can see on the Strip that they have stuff locked up, of course, down in Vegas, but in the suburbs, in a very nice area, there was a stunning amount of stuff that was locked up. I couldn't believe it.
Oh, yeah. It's a thing.
And the guy said, because I said, don't you just hate this? He's like, well,
yeah.
if I don't do it, everybody's going to steal everything.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So you get caught.
Interesting.
Which also lends you to, which kind of is an ad for Tide because that's what they have to lock up. All the other stuff's out there.
So I had, along these lines,
Yep.
I had this thing that happened recently with Club Car Wash because it used to be, I go back to when Club Car Wash was Tiger Express, right? It used to be in Columbia, Missouri. They had a couple of Tiger Expresses. So I've been with them a long time and I have a membership, right? So this is where I have to admit more that I'm an elitist. With my fancy car, I have some electronics that do not allow, they put a window sticker in there, right?
Right.
So then when you pull up through the member lane, the gate opens, you get your car wash. So for me, it wasn't working because the electronics in my glass resist. So they gave me this card, right?
Okay.
And the card had the code on it. So for the last 3 years, I've literally been swiping the card. I hold it out my window and I go in. Well, a few weeks ago, that didn't work. And I'm like, hey, guys, I've been doing this. And they tell me at the one that I go to in Fenton, they said, well, we're not allowing these anymore. We can put a door sticker in and you can come through the...
That's what I have.
Yeah, but then you can go through the non-member lane. I'm like,
Yep.
wait a second, I'm going to pay the non-member?
No chance.
No, that's not going to happen. But then I finally went to the... there's another location of Club
Wait,
Car Wash
you
in
don't
Fenton.
pay. You just open your door and they shoot it.
Yeah, Sue,
Oh.
I'm paying $35 for a membership
Yes.
so I can go through without
Fast
waiting for
pass,
people
all
to
that
do it.
good stuff.
They
I
wanted
see.
me to go through that lane, and I'm not going to do that and pay the membership. So I got a guy at the other one, which is located right there off Bowles, and he was a great dude. And this kid, he looked at my card. He goes, oh, you're a Tiger Express member. I'm like, yeah. And he was actually giving me a level of customer service that I didn't expect. But I bring this story up because I told him, I'm like, look, I've had this card forever. I don't abuse it. And he goes, well, everyone else does.
Yeah.
So everybody gets the card, and then they hand it to someone else, and they screw it up for the people who aren't,
Pretty much.
playing by the
Pretty
rules.
much. I just go through the slow lane because I gave it up. And finally...
Maybe what I should have done. But kudos to that kid that at that Club Car
Yes,
Wash,
who tried.
because the other place was like, yep, that's the
Yep.
best I can do. I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah,
I
and
know.
I'm just waiting for the rain tomorrow.
That's
That's how I'm going to handle my car wash.
You and me both.
cheaper that way,
that's
Fred.
right.
I get that. I totally do. And finally, in Sue's News, we have today's random fact, and there will be music here, Mark, but not for a second here. Peter Frampton's Baby, I Love Your Way peaked at number 12 on the Billboard charts, and Leonard Skinner's Free Bird peaked at number 19. But when pop group Will to Power mashed them up and made a song, this song, Baby, I Love Your Way / Free Bird, it became number 1.
That is an amazing random fact because I remember all of these songs. I don't remember how this one segues
Oh, wait,
into Free
it's
Bird.
coming.
Okay. Is it coming? Here we
Yeah.
go. listen to that. That's right. Now I remember that.
Yes.
Yeah. And I don't remember any other damn thing that Will to Power did musically after this. Do you?
And if you watch this video, it's so of the time. This came out in 1988. It's a woman with huge hair and a guy with a bad mustache on a motorcycle. It's perfect. And that's it for Sue's News.
All right, Sue. I'm going to go out with Marvin Gaye, though. I'm not going out with the regular bumper music. We'll go out with Sexual Healing. How does it sound?
I love it.
Alex Rich, hang out. We got much more to get to here in just a moment.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
On the roads this afternoon, westbound 70 looks pretty good out of downtown. There's a little bit of volume at Jennings Station Road and at 141 and at Highway K, but it's all moderate. Westbound 6440, that's a slow go approaching Kings Highway out through McCausland. Eastbound slows at Big Bend. And we do have volume southbound 141 headed for 64. Out west, some moderate volume past 94 and at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. Southbound 270 has picked up a slowdown or two. And this is from Page in pockets down through 21. Slow pockets southbound 55, south of Arsenal through Revis Barracks. And some slow-moving traffic eastbound 6440 headed for and crossing the Poplar Street Bridge. It's just a bit of a slow go today. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
I want to guide you into some beautiful flooring for your home at Michael's Flooring Outlet. The team at Michael's with 3 great locations. They're open right now. They're open every day except for Sunday, so you can't go in on a Sunday. However, they do have a great website, and you can use that at any time. In fact, I would recommend it if you're doing a little homework or you have some ideas. You can even upload a picture, match up the decor, and maybe even pick some products out. Now, I will recommend some of the Mohawk products are amazing, whether they're hard flooring or soft flooring. Mike guided me into Timbercore Paramount, which had a great option for us. We were trying to do a couple of rooms on a budget with hard flooring, tearing carpeting out. It looks beautiful. They can guide you into the best product for your lifestyle. You might not have a little bunny rabbit running around your house like I do, and I still can't believe that I do. And he likes to chew up the carpeting. So maybe hard flooring is in my future even more ways than I thought. But they're going to take great care of you at Michael's Flooring Outlet. Check out the website, igotfloor.com, or any of those 3 locations today. Darden Prairie, Old Town St. Peters, West County on Olive, igotfloor.com.
SSM Health welcomes the St. Louis Golf Expo, January 31st through February 2nd at the St. Charles Convention Center. Get free golf, free balls, and more while they last. Presented by Post Dispatch. Test big brands with Pro-Am Golf. Enjoy the Sinclair Lincoln Long Putt, St. Louis Battlehawk Simulator, and lessons by Elevate Golf. All at the Golf Expo, January 31st through February 2nd in St. Charles. Thanks to Tito's Vodka, Sun Valley Golf Course, Michelob Ultra, and PXG. Special tickets at stlgolfexpo.com.
Are you tired of feeling sick and tired? I'm Dr. Nick Barnes of Health From Within Family Chiropractic. Our simple 5-step approach aligns your health naturally. We correct spinal abnormalities to maximize nerve supply, focus on pure and simple nutrition, exercise and oxygen, mindset, and minimizing toxins in your body. Transform your health today with Health From Within, conveniently located on Manchester in Rock Hill, or online at healthfromwithinstl.com.
Being first in line can be very important to homeowners. First in line for the plumber, first in line for the HVAC guy, first in line for Banner Construction. It's Banner Construction's winter home event, and you can be first in line this spring and save before the annual price increases. Banner Construction is a James Hardy and Pella window replacement specialist, and now is the best time to schedule a free in-home consultation with no obligation. Call 314-569-1050 or see them online and have a banner day.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules. Odyssey is your home for all the audio that matters to you. Download the Odyssey app today to listen to 97.1 FM Talk, even when you don't have a radio. Always streaming at 971talk.com.
St. Louis is home for conservative talk.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show.
Wednesday afternoon, Sue Thomas in the room. The Hall of Famer Fred Bottomer, Alex Rich from Y98 visits on a Wednesday. I have some Simple Minds tickets to give away here in just a couple of minutes. I'm a little, we were talking about concerts yesterday a little bit. Dave Matthews, Alex, coming back into town for the first time in a while at the amphitheater. But I'm a little surprised, maybe I'm just not paying close enough attention, that there haven't been some bigger concerts announced for this year.
Seems that way, right?
It does seem that way. Or, I mean, you're in a different
demographic.
I think
we start to get to that point. I feel
February?
like February and March is about the time. Well, when do those first concerts usually start happening at the amphitheater? May.
Well, we have a few that are announced, and even they have some summer shows, but I feel like there's no really, really big tours. Maybe I'm just not paying close enough attention.
Well, does it feel like there's not as many as there used to be years ago, too, that I feel like big name after big name every weekend would come through the amphitheater? I mean, they still do, but like, for example, you just said Dave. I mean, I love Dave Matthews. I've been to, I think, probably 13 or 14 Dave Matthews concerts, and he hasn't been here in at least 10 years.
It's probably, maybe 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
Right. Because I would go because Becky is a huge fan, but he's coming back. One of the questions that came up, Tim Summers, our music guy, and we were talking about this, why are a lot of acts, because they do, why are they skipping St. Louis? I don't really know the answer to that. But on this topic here, Simple Minds not skipping St. Louis. In fact, tickets for the show that are at the amphitheater on June 5th go on sale tomorrow at 10 a.m. But we got tickets right now if you'd like to go see Simple Minds, Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. And your caller number 2, we're going to make it real easy on Ethan here, 314-241-9797. You are a winner from 97.1 FM Talk. So, I saw a soundbite I want to play to you here today, this morning, and I was rather stunned by it. I said, Fred, you'll appreciate this. I sent a message to our friend Brian Ping from KNX in Los Angeles, and I guess I could have used Don't You Forget About Me, because the theme was, hey, we cover all this stuff. The fires were intense for 2 weeks. We talked to Brian multiple times, and then a little rain comes and we forget about it. So I sent him a message last night saying, hey, I feel like I miss KNX. I was listening to you guys in the car all the time on my Alexa, and then, things kind of just go away and we move on to other things. And I was just saying, how are things? And obviously things are still tough out there because of all of the, the recovery, trying to get debris removed. They have a bill that is working its way through the legislature now to, I guess, cover some of the mortgage payments for some people.
And some people can't even get back to their property.
Well, that's what I wanted to focus on here, because I saw this guy. Now, I think it's amazing because this guy actually is really calm when he is facing this as a police officer. And it looks like, to me, it looks like a military guy. Darn it, Fred, what did I label this thing? I'm having the worst day in finding, audio here that I don't know where it is. I just saw it. Here it is. So there's a cop and I don't know if it's a National Guard person. The guy, well, you just listen to what his story is. He's just trying to see his home in the Palisades, I think.
And then after that, you're able to just go right in.
But why can't I just go now?
That's just my order, sir.
How long is the orange pass thing?
I got told, I'm not sure if there's an expiration date or anything.
No, but there's a line.
I fully understand that, sir, but there's rules and protocols we got to follow.
All right, so the orange pass is what he was told he needed. You had to go up to this other area, get an orange pass. If you get your orange pass, then you can go see your house.
So it's January 27th?
Yes, sir.
I haven't been able to get to my house.
Yes, sir.
For 20 days.
I fully understand that.
And it's right down there. It's about 1 minute over there.
Yes, sir.
And here's my address.
Yeah, I fully understand that.
So you want me to go wait in line for 2 hours?
Sir,
that's what they're told. That's what we're told to advise, sir.
That's
you
the
have
cop.
to go down to where he's telling you, to zone 3, and then you get the pass. Once you get the pass, you're able to come up.
But there's like a mile wait to get into zone 3.
I understand, because there's all the people that are trying to get the passes. But that's what in order for you to get by, past this checkpoint, you need to get that pass.
Right, but President Trump and Mayor Bass said that we could go.
Trust me, I understand. I'm just telling you what we were advised by our command posts. They're telling you the same thing. They were advised by their command posts.
I'm not giving you guys a hard time.
No, I know.
I appreciate your service.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. We greatly appreciate it, but that's unfortunately one of the things that you have to do.
Okay,
is go get a pass.
So I'm back, and it's now January 27th at 9:50 in the morning, and I have to go wait in a multi-hour, probably 5-hour line to get a pass to go to my house.
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your service.
I wish you the best, okay?
Thank you.
Now, one thing I think we can all agree on here in the room is that I would have handled that situation exactly the same way in a calm voice like that guy
Mark,
in the car.
It wasn't the police officer's fault. They are following what they were told to do.
And that's what that guy understood.
And fortunately, that guy understood that. But, man.
But I made the crack about myself because, look, it would be real easy to haul off and say, look, he's 1 minute away from his home.
I know.
And I got to tell you, I know that there's issues here, and they got to make sure that there's not looters. That is unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
It does sound really nuts. And it's not their fault. Whoever is coming up with that protocol is
they're
to
worried,
blame.
They're worried about toxic
and I get it.
chemicals. They're worried about a lot of different things.
It's just a bad situation.
It's terrible.
You can't get to your own house, and then these poor people have to enforce that.
So I alluded to my my anger issues. Got anger issues over the years, right? I can be a little quick-tempered, but this is something I've actually tried to correct over the years. And I want to share this story from the Post-Dispatch because I do think it's important. And Sue, I've even told you about things that have happened, and you guys have don't do that. And I've backed off because it's not smart. And it took me a long time to realize that because, a little burst of anger and emotion can really end up in some bad things, and that's what this story is about. So this is Katie Cole, who's the reporter at the Post, says it was a sunny fall morning in downtown St. Louis, and Brian Stokes was on his way to the gym. That's when he saw the truck. It was cutting across lanes of traffic to get on to the highway ramp. Stokes honked his horn. The truck stopped, backed up, pulled in front of him. A man got out, pounded on the hood, walked toward the driver door. Stokes fumbled with the lock button. He doesn't remember being dragged out of the car. And Jake Ellinger of Manchester, he's described as John Jake Ellinger, was charged with first-degree assault and unlawful use of a weapon. Authorities say he broke Stokes' jaw, nose, and other facial bones, kicked him in the throat. This was all caught on video and shared publicly. And I guess, the downtown St. Louis group that always is concerned about all the violence put that on. I don't remember seeing the video for this. Does anyone remember seeing the video of this?
I don't either.
So I guess then they find out that here's the other thing. Okay, I just told you what the guy did, right? He broke his jaw, nose, and other facial bones. He kicked him in the throat. What's the proper charge for that particular crime?
Assault,
but battery, maybe?
Right. Okay.
It's battery.
This is the line from the story. Explain this one. This week, Ellinger pleaded guilty to attempted assault.
Are you kidding me?
But they say he faces 5 to 15 years in prison. How could you possibly get to attempted assault when the guy literally broke his face?
Thank you. And it's on video.
That's an attorney is going to have to explain that.
I assume that was pled down. And wasn't the guy he attacked, was he a lawyer?
That's a good question.
I for some reason,
but tempted is quite the word to use.
Yeah.
Here's the other details though that really struck me. So this is a guy that has faced the Ellinger, the guy who is guilty here. He's faced protection orders from people claiming abuse. He was involved in a brawl outside of the Metro East nightclub with Cardinals players. Remember that? There was a story from a couple of years ago.
This guy was part of that?
Yeah. He was sentenced to probation for slashing tires. Scores of creditors have sued him for unpaid bills. He was charged with assaulting a casino security guard months before the attack on Stokes. So he's a real stand-up guy, right? There's no doubt about that. And I guess
Stokes is a lawyer.
Is he?
He's a local attorney at 701 Market Street.
Yeah, it says that. That's right. Okay, I got to it. He left to go to the gym. He was sitting in his car at a light near 64 West Ramp. That would be just down from where we are, where I pass, like catty corner from Enterprise is what I'm envisioning, right? That's the ramp right there?
Well, let me think about that.
What was it?
I think it is.
Yeah, 701, Jim was sitting in his car. Yeah, it would have to be.
Probably. So it says a black pickup truck emblazoned with the logo of Roofing and Exterior Pros stopped at the light at Clark and 10th. Then crossed multiple lanes of traffic and cut in front of Stokes to turn onto the ramp. This is behavior that I see on a regular basis in downtown St. Louis. I see stuff like this we've talked about, and I'm not making this up. When I go home and I go down, 14th Street and I go to Shoto, I stop at lights that are green because I don't know what people are going to do. So the lawyer dude says he doesn't remember exactly what happened, but there was a bystander that witnessed it and posted a screenshot from the video, and at some point there was another guy. This was a little confusing to me, but there was another guy driving a gold Range Rover that drove past. Ellinger got into his truck and chased him, charges say. He pulled alongside the SUV, pointed a gun out of his window, and said, "Do we have a problem?"
Jeez.
And then the driver of the Range Rover said he heard gunshots as he sped away. And this guy is charged with attempted assault. Maybe that's where the attempted assault comes from, right there. Stokes said he didn't see any of that. He remembered blood in his eyes. He couldn't see. Somehow he made his way to his office. He laid down with ice on his face, and the story says he got up, he went home, and just cried. He didn't know what had happened still. The next day, he hadn't called police, and then finally there was and this is weird because the way that he found out about what had happened, because he didn't remember some of this, is that someone had posted that photo of the incident online, and one of his coworkers comes up to him and says, I think this is what happened to you.
Oh, wow.
How about that for a weird part of the story? So I don't know. That's just, and there are lessons there because I think, Fred is not the type of person I would be worried about in a situation like this. I don't envision Fred honking at someone and laying on the horn and shouting and, Fred, have you ever flipped the bird to anyone in your life? I don't think you have. Exactly.
No. But wait a minute. In this story, it sounds like Stokes, all he did was honk his horn. Just, it wasn't like he doesn't say he was laying on it. He was rolling down windows. He just honked. And
this
he
guy
was fumbling to try to get the car locked before this guy got to him.
And this guy is a violent predator. I think we're finding he should have probably been behind bars to begin with, but that is disgusting behavior, and it's a lesson. It really is. The last road rage incident that I had a few years ago kind of taught me, you know what? Let's not do that anymore.
Yeah,
so I'm trying to behave myself. I really am. We're coming back with more in a moment. Hang in there.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
We do have some volume out there. If you are on westbound 6440 out of downtown, things are lined up, and this is approaching Kings Highway out through McCausland. Eastbound is lined up near Jefferson, headed for the bridge. Westbound 44 slowing in front of the arch in the depressed section there. And on the Illinois side, Route 3 is really jammed southbound, headed down toward Monsanto Avenue, probably a slow-moving train that just goes back and forth. And westbound 64, a slow go at Ballas and again at Lake St. Louis Boulevard, but it's only moderate volume. Southbound 270, the slow pockets from Page down through Gravois, and 55 does have a slow pocket or two in that construction zone, and that runs south of Arsenal over through the Rivas Barracks area, and then, only then does it get better. This report brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, Lakeside Renovation and Design has been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. From windows and siding to kitchens, baths, and outdoor spaces, they deliver quality craftsmanship backed by lifetime warranties. Visit lakesiderd.com to start your dream project today. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Who you choose to sell your St. Louis area home matters, especially in this changing market. We all know a few realtors, including me, but I only recommend one realtor. Mark Cox here. For the past several years, I've gotten to know Gloria Liu, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria's different, guaranteeing to sell your home at your agreed-to price, or Gloria will buy it. When selling your home, you want the most money and the least hassle. That's exactly what you get with Gloria Liu of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Check this out. After 6 months, 2 separate agents failed to sell the Wheeler family's home. With no more time to waste, they decided to give Gloria Liu a call. Within a few days, Gloria was able to get them multiple offers and sold their home at nearly 99% of listing price because Gloria already had the buyers. The agent you choose to sell your home really matters. Call Gloria Liu at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Fry, and Mark Reardon, along with Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group, for the next Protecting Your Retirement educational event. It's Thursday, January 30th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Here are Thomas and Bob with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired and would like to learn how linking to the market eliminates your fees and will generate you more income? Would you like to know how to lock in your gains every year without selling, even when the market's going down?
Did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to protect your nest egg from any future losses? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 and a half or older, you can't afford to miss this event.
Protect your retirement nest egg. Join the official financial advisors of my show, Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw, Thursday, January 30th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
every 15 seconds, someone is diagnosed with cancer. If it's happened to you or someone you love, the American Cancer Society can help at every step of the journey. Our programs and services include rides to care, a place to stay closer to treatment, or access to information and day-to-day guidance, all for free. To see how we can help you, visit cancer.org today.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
Hi, I'm your kid's old jeans. I've been in the drawer for a while and really missed the playground. You should swing by Goodwill and drop me off. Donating me helps Goodwill's mission to provide career training and support services right here in the community. Plus, I can get back into the game. Donate today. Tag, you're it.
To find your nearest Goodwill locations and to learn more about our mission, please visit goodwill.org. Goodwill, where your things start new lives.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Our government is so big and so bloated that reining it in might be impossible. I know what Doge wants to do. It might be impossible.
The Mark Cox Morning Show. Weekdays from 5 to 9.
Wednesday afternoon, pretty nice one in St. Louis, and I am noticing, I mentioned this a couple of days ago, it is staying quite light later.
Yes.
We are getting into a period, we got a nice stretch of weather outside of tomorrow when it's going to rain quite a bit. Alex Rich, because you're on Y98, do you talk about the Anthony Mackie Captain America comments by any chance?
We leave that to Kevin. I'm not too versed on it.
Okay, so the new Captain America movie is going to come out, and it's not Chris Evans anymore. Ironically, Chris Evans was the wokest actor in any of these films because he's let his politics get out there on social media. It's pretty clear he's a left-wing lunatic. But Anthony Mackie, who is African-American, is now the new Captain America because you have to have, the identity politics checked off with all the Marvel movies as well. You can't just have white people playing heroes. That is terrible, terrible, terrible. So Anthony Mackie says this. Check this out.
For me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term, America should be one of those representations. It's about a man who keeps his word, who has honor, dignity, and integrity, someone who is trustworthy and dependable.
Well, what I said yesterday is, and I agreed to not get into road rage incidents, but F you, Anthony Mackie. Are you kidding me? So if you Google this today, one of the things that was interesting about yesterday, because I did this as an experiment, there weren't a lot of publications that were covering what Anthony Mackie said. They were protecting him. Now, the publications like Variety and The Hollywood Reporter, now they want to report on it because he's clarified his position, Sue. And it says, Anthony Mackie clarifies his viral Captain America comment. I'm a proud American. Sure you are. Let me be clear about this. I'm a proud American, and taking on the shield of a hero like Cap is the honor of a lifetime, Mackie wrote on Instagram. I have the utmost respect for those who serve and have served our country. Cap has universal characteristics that people all over the world can relate to. I'm sorry, that's not really an apology, and it's not a clarification. So the headline actually says he's clarified. What has he clarified? He hasn't clarified anything. I think he clarified that he's trying to cover his ass after making a public relations nightmare for Disney because this isn't going to go away. All right. So when the movie comes out, for people who haven't heard about this, because again, they're being shielded by most of the legacy in the mainstream media, there's a lot of folks out there. This would be called the Bud Light treatment for Captain America, because some of the folks out there on social media have a lot of power and a lot of sway.
Yeah.
And when these things take off, especially when it becomes personal like this, it would not shock me at all. And I'm actually a little surprised that Trump hasn't weighed in on this, right? Because it seems something that's kind of right up his alley.
No, I understand what you're saying. I heard a longer bite this morning that Mark Cox played, and it's much more extensive, and I wonder what the rest of it was. I can't remember the whole thing, but the rest of it sounded better. That one part is terrible.
Well,
obviously.
what the Hollywood Reporter actually said that they could not find. They said clips of Mackey's comments online didn't reveal the exact question that he was answering, and they reached out to Marvel and Mackey for further clarification. But isn't it kind of clear that he says that? I mean, listen to what he says. How do you dance around this?
For me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term, America should be one of those representations.
How is that confusing?
It's not good.
No. And he's trying to CYA at this point. I don't think it's going to work. We'll see. Look, that's going to be a big movie. They're going to make a lot of money because it's Disney, and most of the people in this country won't have any idea that Anthony Mackie hates the country, but we're going to try to spread the word and make sure people do know that. Alex, there's a great golf expo that's coming up this weekend, and we were supposed to do a virtual thing on Friday that I am maybe pulling out of because I'm worried about my back right now.
Mm-hmm. That's what you tell me.
Well, I know, and they're making fun of me here in the studio because they don't think I have an injury, even though I was in a lot of pain on Monday.
I don't know that you do.
Jacked up on muscle relaxation.
It is a contest.
Here's the thing. Right now, I actually feel good. I pulled out of pickleball and racquetball tonight. I was going to play pickleball last night because I don't want to aggravate it again.
You're saving it for the golf expo.
I'm saving it because I want to walk and not be in pain and carry my grandson probably tomorrow. I have one more day with him.
Well, if people want to get tickets and participate against me, I'll be playing, and they can go to the stlouisgolfexpo.com. It's basically the indoor golf league. They're bringing it to St. Louis, and they're going to have a little competition with people there at the golf expo. So,
yeah, it's going to be fun.
When you lose to me, Mark, in golf, you can still walk around and look at some cool golf stuff.
Did you watch Tiger and Rory the other night?
I didn't. I missed it.
It was pretty cool. The only thing that wasn't cool about it, they had to wrap it up because they were going to a basketball game, and they have an overtime format in TGL, and it was basically, I think it was mainly closest to the pin, and it just was over. All of a sudden, it was like this big build-up, a great competition between Rory's team from Boston and then Tiger's team, and then, boom, it was over. Alex Rich, you have a great week.
We'll talk to you.
Great to see you. We're going to hang out in the next hour with our friend Curtis Houck, who is the managing editor of Newsbusters. We'll talk about Carolyn Levitt in her first White House briefing, but a little personal angle with Curtis that I was unaware of. His battle with depression. We'll share some stories in the next hour.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Oh, that's so great to hear. Okay, on the roads, if you are westbound on 6440, it lines up approaching Kings Highway out through McCausland. Eastbound slows at 170. And we've got an accident reported westbound just past Lake St. Louis Boulevard, and that's created some slow-moving traffic there. Westbound 70, moderate volume at Jennings Station Road and past the airport. Accident on northbound 270 near the Rock Road, and that's creating some slow-moving traffic there. Westbound is got some moderate volume, has some moderate volume at 141. Now, southbound 270, slow pockets Page, down through Gravois. We've got southbound 170 lining up at 64. Southbound 55 slowing especially at Rivas Barracks in the construction zone. And there is a jam headed for and a little bit of volume crossing the Poplar Street Bridge. 44 westbound slow in the depressed section in front of the arch. This report brought to you by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. They are here with same-day emergency service. They will not leave you stuck. The original Red Ribbon Garage Door Company, trusted in St. Louis since 1926. Call 314-781-5200 or schedule online at overheaddoorstlewis.com. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk. Hey, if you know that you need to plan for your retirement, but you really don't have a good handle on what all is involved, and you just want to get educated, figure out what you are facing, well, I've got a great idea. It's a 3-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101, and it's a one-night class. They just sit you down with a fiduciary advisor from Financial and Tax Architects, and these people have so much experience. They're really good at explaining it, and they hold these classes at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis. You will learn everything you need to know: tax-saving strategies, IRA and 401k withdrawal timing, Social Security, Roth IRA conversions, and it's free, but they do ask that you bring 3 canned goods for a St. Louis Crisis Nursery. Now, there are still openings for classes this month and next, so call 314-947-2012. That's 314-947-2012. This is just what you need.
If better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today and start the year off knowing you're giving your liver some well-deserved relief. You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
Attention St. Louis Medicaid members. If you need assistance with daily living, you can receive a free service from Freedom Care in your own home from a loved one who lives with you. With Freedom Care, you decide who provides your daily care, helping you with preparing meals, bathing, laundry, transportation, and more. A family member or friend that gets paid instantly. It's all through Medicaid, and as a St. Louis resident, it's 100% free to you. New to Medicaid, the Freedom Care family will guide you through enrollment, making it stress-free for patients and caregivers. With over 7,000 5-star Google reviews, we've perfected at-home care for Medicaid members and caregivers. If you live in the St. Louis area, this service is free to you through Medicaid, and with our InstaPay app, caregivers can choose to get paid instantly. So go to freedomcare.com or call 314-697-4912. 314-697-4912. That's 314-697-4912.
Freedom Care, we're here for you.
Jason Aldean, Full Throttle Tour 2025, powered by Patriot Mobile.
When the lights come on.
Saturday, July 19th, Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. With Nate Smith.
You set my world on fire.
And Ray Lynn.
Make it easy.
Jason Aldean, on sale Friday, January 31st at 10 a.m. at livenation.com. Jason Aldean Live.
KFTK FM Florissant.
An Odyssey station.
He calls it the perfect place. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth reacting to the memo from President Trump directing the Departments of Defense and Homeland Security to expand the Migrant Operations Center at Guantanamo Bay for migrants living illegally in the U.S. who can't be sent to their home countries. Hegseth tells Fox's Will Kane there are 2 parts of Guantanamo, a prison and a naval station.
Where it has long been, for decades, a mission of that naval station to provide for migrants and refugees and resettlement.
The naval base at Guantanamo has been in place since the early 1900s. Suspected terrorists have been held there since the war in Afghanistan. President Trump made the comments about Guantanamo while signing the Laken Riley Act, which makes it easier to deport migrants in the U.S. illegally who've been accused of crimes. Sentencing for former New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez in his corruption case. The former chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee convicted of accepting bribes and acting as a foreign agent for Egypt.
This 11-year prison sentence is the longest ever imposed against a U.S. senator in our nation's history. Judge Sidney Stein saying, quote, somewhere along the way to Senator Bob Menendez, I'm sorry to say you became a corrupt politician.
Fox's Brian Yennis in New York City. After his sentencing, Menendez attacked the judicial system, saying it's political and corrupted to the core. The Federal Reserve has left its benchmark interest rate unchanged. Fed Chair Jerome Powell saying with the economy remaining strong, they don't need to be in a hurry to adjust their policy stance.
We know that reducing policy restraint too fast or too much could hinder progress on inflation.
On Truth Social, President Trump accused the Fed of failing to stop the problem they created with inflation. America's listening to Fox News.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
No complaints for evening plans weather-wise, with temperatures falling out of the 50s into the upper 40s. We can deal with that. Clouds will be taking over, and we'll eventually get down to 33. Thursday, clouds, periods of rain, a couple of non-severe thunderstorms. The focus on the afternoon, 50. Thursday night, periods of rain, a couple of non-severe storms, 45. Friday, scattered morning showers, otherwise a mix of clouds and sunshine at 53. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
There's no better time to give your body nutritional support with Neovitin than right now. Start the new year off right with Neovitin 50 Plus multivitamins. Neovitin 50 Plus multivitamins give you a nutritional base with B vitamins to support energy, vitamins A and C for immune support, and our physician-formulated proprietary 4-ingredient blend for daily support that you won't find in any other multivitamin. Find Neovitin at your local Schnucks, Deerbergs, and online at neovitin.com.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
My whole identity had been wrapped up in being a soldier. To have that so violently ripped from me when I was wounded, I was lost for a very long time. When Wounded Warrior Project came into my life, being around the other warriors, people that had similar experiences that I did, it was a game changer for me. Having King join the group, that was the beginning of a really good friendship. It's a good time.
I first heard about Wounded Warrior Project through CQ. And at first I was kind of like, I don't know if I qualify. But having been a part of it, it's kind of taught me that it's not just the wounds that you can see, but it's those that you can't.
When you do something like a peer support group with Wounded Warrior Project and come together from different walks of life, man, the growth is incredible. If not for Wounded Warrior Project, I really don't think that I'd be here today.
See how we help warriors combat stigma at woundedwarriorproject.org/combat stigma.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends Mark and Neil Gelman from the Gelman team of eXp Realty. Selling your home, every situation is unique. Find the best options that are right for you from the real estate team who offer more options. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
Simple Minds is coming to Hollywood Casino Amphitheater on June 5th.
Don't you forget about me.
Want to go for free? Listen to the Mark Reardon Show this week from 3 to 6. We're giving away a pair of tickets every day.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. Mark Reardon on St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
Governor Kehoe gave his State of the State address. I've often joked about the State of the State, and really, this is bipartisan. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. If you could stay awake during a State of the State address in Missouri, nothing against Mike Kehoe, that's an accomplishment. But he did outline a bunch of stuff relating to education. Our friend Gene Evans, who is a political consultant for Go Consulting, former executive director of the Missouri GOP, and she is the head of the Missouri Federation for Children, and also a roundtable veteran here on Friday afternoon, is going to join us a little later in the hour to talk about education and some, support for school choice in particular from Governor Kehoe. We're going to try to get Mike on here soon enough as well, as he has just taken over for Governor Parson, pretty busy here in the first few days. So yesterday we featured a lot from Carolyn Leavitt's first White House briefing. This was the question from the idiot at the AP.
Thanks, Caroline. A question that we've asked your predecessors of both parties in this job. When you're up here in this briefing room speaking to the American public, do you view yourself and your role as advocating on behalf of the president, or providing the unvarnished truth that is, not to lie, not to obfuscate to the American people?
You can't make this up. You really can't. What's funny is if you go, you can do this at home, ladies and gentlemen, if you go to the AP's website and you just pull it up, I'm going to do this right now because it's kind of fun to do. The app comes up. If, you won't get the, it says apnews.com, but the app comes up and it actually tells you how important the AP is. And what's the wording? I logged in and then they logged me back out. I'll tell you in a second. But there's Caroline's reaction here yesterday.
I commit to telling the truth from this podium every single day. I commit to speaking on behalf of the President of the United States. That is my job. And I will say it's very easy to speak truth from this podium when you have a president who is implementing policies that are wildly popular with the American people. And that's exactly what this administration is doing. It's correcting the lies and the wrongs of the past 4 years, many of the lies that have been told to your faces in this very briefing room.
So if you go to the Associated Press, and I finally got it to come up. It had loaded. I just, swiped, and then it came again. It says the Associated Press, advancing the power of facts. Really? How non-self-aware do you have to be that reporter and talk to Carolyn Leavitt about facts and about telling the truth?
I will not do that. But since you brought up Truth Seek, I would like to point out, while I vowed to provide the truth from this podium, we ask that all of you in this room hold yourselves to that same standard. We know for a fact there have been lies that have been pushed by many legacy media outlets in this country about this president, about his family, and we will not accept that. We will call you out when we feel that your reporting is wrong or there is misinformation about this White House. So, yes, I will hold myself to the truth, and I expect everyone in this room to do the same.
Wow, she did great yesterday, and a lot of people are still raving about it. We're going to talk with Curtis Houck, managing editor of Newsbusters, part of the Media Research Center. We're going to talk to Curtis about a couple of things here, but let's start, Curtis, with what happened yesterday. How are you this afternoon?
Oh, my goodness. It's like drinking from a fire hose, my friend.
It really is, isn't it? And I admitted yesterday, look, Carolyn Leavitt is the age of my oldest child, and, I wouldn't trust him with a whole lot, although he has a baby now, my grandson. I'm thinking, man, is she going to be up to the task? And she certainly was on the first day, wasn't she?
Yeah, I think she's absolutely been ready for this. She interned in the first Trump White House, was an assistant press secretary for Kayleigh McEnany. In the intervening years, she worked for Lee Stefanik. She ran for Congress herself, was on the Trump campaign the whole way. So she's had a lot of different experiences, and she's just naturally talented. So I think that's why this really worked for her. I just have to say, though, the irony of Zeke Miller from the AP asking that. He's the guy who lied during the first Trump transition about the MLK bust and the Winston Churchill bust, that whole nonsense folks may remember. That was him. So I think, truth and honesty, he should work on first.
Well, that was what I highlighted yesterday. I would spit Diet Coke out of my nose if I was drinking a sip, because it was so unbelievable that he would say that and not recognize what's happened in that briefing room for the last 4 years.
Yeah, and I'll just say, too, the AP was called on third yesterday after Axios and Breitbart, and the world did not collapse because the press had this, idea that the AP has to be called on first because tradition or something like that. No, you're not Tevyev from Fiddler on the Roof. Guys, it's going to be fine. The AP, yes, it's important, but
Well, times have changed. Look, the AP is not that important anymore. They're important only because they're self-importance and because, it's a co-op and they share news across the country and across the world from different stations. And not all of what you will read on the AP is misinformation because a lot of it comes from right here, in St. Louis or in Chicago when they have local stories. But, I think I mentioned this yesterday. Curtis, I'm old enough to have remembered, I actually sat next to Helen Thomas, who was the dean of all these journalists who was with the UPI, and she used to ask, the first question. That was White House tradition. Well, look, that's old media. And as you know, probably better than anyone, new media has taken over. I'm an old media guy. I think it's perfectly acceptable and warranted that new members of the White House press corps are welcomed into that room. And Carolyn made that clear. That's what's going to happen.
It was 45 minutes, called on 20 different outlets, 21 different reporters. It was crisp. She was firm. All kinds of different questions, everyone from Right Side Broadcasting to the Daily Caller to Fox News to even April Ryan at the Griot got her questions in yesterday. And I think that's how briefings should be, where the reporters that are called on represent the entire spectrum of politics instead of just the first two rows where, except for Fox News, they're all incredibly left of center and dying publications or newswires.
So I do a little feature here on the show at the end of the show, right before 6, right around 5:50, called Audio Cut of the Day. I feature some of the best audio that I've gathered on any given day, and a lot of times I'll play a little bit more than maybe one cut. I'll do a trifecta. So I opened the show with the Stephen Miller audio from his interview with Jake Tapper. Did you happen to see that by any chance?
Of course I did.
Oh, my God, of course. You're on top of everything. I mean, is it my imagination? Like my friend David Strom at hotair.com wrote it this way. I just witnessed a murder on live TV.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I love Stephen Miller's approach to things. I mean, he's substantive, he's decisive, he's funny, he has like some sarcasm built in, which is really disarming for these folks.
It is.
Where he kind of did the racist route. He was talking about farm workers, and he's like, I don't think, Jake, I don't want to presume that what you're suggesting here is that you'd want to keep these people here. Like, basically going,
oh, it was
we'll
awesome.
Pick the cotton route.
Yeah, and I'm going to play that audio for Audio Cut of the Day, which is why I mentioned it. It is classic. It's really, and Jake Tapper, I just don't think, they still don't get it at CNN. And by the way, we have to mention, oh my gosh, maybe, Curtis, we should have started with this, and I should have played Taps. R.I.P. Jim Acosta on CNN. I'm so sad about that. I know you are too.
I know. I mean, I've been covering him since 2017, It's like he was put in a you can't fire me, I quit scenario. They weren't going to include him as part of the 200 layoffs. They weren't going to do that because then he could be a martyr.
Right.
I'm saying in appearances he wants to be like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man at the end of Spider-Man 2 when he's like, like he's laying on a cross where he's passed back through the subway car after he like saves all those people. Like he sees himself that way. And it was just so pathetic and not surprising, though, to see him go off with this kind of network newsroom, Aaron Sorkin like commentary about don't give in to the lies and like record a video of yourself saying, I won't give in to the lies. Very bizarre behavior.
It's very entertaining, and I'll have those cuts coming up. Well, listen, yesterday when I was, because you guys, and your site, I shouldn't even tell you this, you're a great resource because I can snag a lot of the audio very easily. You can follow at Curtis Houck, and he's the managing editor for Newsbusters. And for whatever reason, I don't think I ever really paid attention to the pinned tweet that you have at the top of your X page, and it has to do with depression and attempted suicide. And I have a bit of a relatability factor here because I've been somewhat open about my battles with depression, mainly anxiety, but it got mixed in with depression about 12 or 13 years ago. I'm in a good spot right now. I got help from a shrink, but we can share more of those details after your story because your story is even, I think, a little bit more frightening than mine, Curtis. And I think it's important to share these stories.
Yeah, folks can read that. I also, a few years ago, went on Greg Kelly's podcast, and I talked for about 40 minutes about this. So folks can search that on the Google machine or DuckDuckGo and listen more. I was a college student that got hired here at Newsbusters, working the night shifts. As you know, a lot of media jobs, you start out working, the hours are definitely not great starting out. But I had the hope of, I was in a consistent relationship with a girlfriend at the time. And then suddenly I was called home one weekend and she went on this tangent citing scriptures in the Bible about why we needed to break up and she needed to love herself, et cetera, et cetera. And I was just completely devastated. And a lot of my friends rejected me. One of my Catholic friends said that I was possessed by Satan, suggested that I needed like some sort of exorcism. And it was just so painful. I mean, I look back at it now and I'm just like, wow. But, just like teenagers, when you're going through a lot of things that you think is the end of the world, for me, it definitely felt like it. And my faith was twisted, really perverted, and I learned later was all lies, but I believed it in the moment. So I struggled, lost a lot of weight. I looked like, Tom Hanks in Castaway. Fortunately, attempted suicide a few times. But with my help.
That's the part that really caught me off guard, too, because, look, I'm going to read, you just referenced this, and this is where I had a connection with you. You said, the hopelessness enveloped me, and while I seemed fine, I never missed a day of work. I didn't miss a day at work either. I was struggling. You say I lost 30 pounds, barely ate, got to the point where I tried to kill myself multiple times. We'll get to that latter part in a second. But I've told Fred, my producer, and the people I worked with, I would drive. I was on KMOX at the time, our sister station. I'd come in every day, and I would not know if I could do my show, Curtis. I'd sit in the parking lot for a few minutes. I'd somehow come in. I did have, some Xanax that I took, like a half a Xanax or something to kind of calm me down. And somehow, some way, I got through the shows. I don't know how I did it. I lost about 20 pounds. I was down in my 150s at that point, and I didn't have that much weight to lose. So a lot of this is very relatable from that standpoint. I had anxiety for much of my life on and off, but it really got bad, and then it was mixed in with depression, and I did not see, the writing on the wall. So I thought my career was over, and thus I thought my life was over. And I'm not going to lie, I thought about, ways to end things. It never got to any execution, but you actually got to that point, right?
Yeah, I never missed a day, and I think that having my job at Newsbusters here, having a job was God's way of keeping me on the straight and narrow, because it was a purpose. I sat down, and the moment I actually did make it inside, but I'm with you, I'd sit in my car crying multiple times, every day for over a year. But once I actually got myself in, I don't know how, but once I sat down at my desk and I logged in and I started pulling up clips, away I went, and I just poured myself into my job and I'd work 12, 13, 14-hour shifts because I was just so terrified to log off because then the feelings would return. And so I did get help shrink as well. Unfortunately, the first primary care doctor I tried to find down here suggested that I needed to quit my job because I had failed God and I had a serious idolatry problem, and you need to reevaluate your relationship with Christ and those kind of things. That made things obviously way worse. But I think it was this sermon that I heard at my now former church about Mark 4, the disciples in the boat, and Jesus rebukes the storm. And the pastor said to me, if I'm in the boat with you, what is it that you have to fear? And it's a sermon, while I wasn't at rock bottom yet, it was kind of planting those seeds about not being alone in this and that there is a plan. Friends were telling me time heals all wounds and those things. That's obviously factually accurate in most cases, but that's not what I needed to hear in the moment. And it wasn't until I heard those words from that pastor that things completely, the seeds were planted, and months went by where I would go every Sunday. I felt like God was trying to talk to me to basically, hey, don't end your life directly. There's a purpose here for you. And so, I kind of slowly dug myself out of a hole. I can't pinpoint when I would say I was kind of back, kind of dusting myself off and walking forward again. But it took a few years to get there. So I just give hope to people.
Yeah, it does take a while.
It's not a straight line.
No, not at all. And what you said about, look, a couple things that I want to point out. I was going at the time to, and I have a great primary care physician right now, but at the time I didn't really have one in particular was popping around just because of insurance and was hopped up on some things that made my anxiety worse. And then when I got the depression, because depression was never an aspect of it. And when we say anxiety, people don't really maybe understand. It's not like you just get nervous, right? It's a weird feeling. It's a very sick feeling. I can't even describe it. And the situation with the primary care was making it worse. And I finally, not gonna lie, I called in privilege. I called someone that I knew. I said, I got to see a shrink. And I want to wait 6 months or whatever. And I got in, and I got, it took maybe 8 months to dial in on some meds. A lot of things weren't working. Then finally, there was something that was suggested that seemingly had some pretty bad side effects. I take something called Lamictal, which is an anti-seizure medication, and it can cause burns on your skin. And when my shrink said she wanted to try this, I didn't think there was another option, Curtis. I thought, again, I had to try something because I didn't know what else to do, and I got very lucky and straightened out. But I talk about this on the air, and I wanted you to share your story because I know on some of your tweets you put the hashtag end the stigma. And it's important for people to realize that I can't believe how many people in the entertainment world, musicians, professional athletes that have had anxiety and depression that you wouldn't know about. A lot of them have shared their stories. And I think it's important to do that because you're not alone out there when you're dealing with these things, and people need to know that, right?
Yeah, I'm just going to say that I think especially among men, I think it really matters definitely to talk about. And I'm like you too. The first set of medications they put me on, it made me sick. So like nauseous or whatever. So yeah, that's obviously not great, but it is, and I had no family history, by the way. And I think that's the other thing important to point out for folks. Yes, it can be family history, genetics, but also it's not. Acute stressors, I think, is the term that my atheist Jew liberal shrink calls it. It's a good relationship we have, but and now I'm obviously married and managing editor at Newsbusters, doing all these things. But it's not to say that those feelings don't occasionally pop up and happen. The lockdowns, obviously, before I met my wife, were very bad.
Yeah, it could be isolating. Absolutely, it's
those
tough.
Kind of moments. It is, but you have those coping mechanisms. You have those tools. For me, it just includes like spending money I don't have at Barnes & Noble, just like buying more books. But, that's to each their own.
Yeah. Well, look, it can be, and I don't want to, I had a conversation with someone about this even earlier in the week because I do talk about my situation and share it quite a bit. But I also want to make this mention because in my situation, sounds like in yours, I needed medication. I didn't think I did, but I did. And I know that some people can do this without medication. I'm a firm believer, Curtis, in intense exercise helping with anxiety and depression. And I experienced, some benefit from that. But I got to the point where the brain just wasn't, it wasn't functioning. And it was leaving me in a very dark place. And again, for people who have gone through this, they can relate. If you haven't, there's no way to really describe it because it's very, very different situation. The brain is a very powerful thing, as you know, and sometimes it gets a little off balance. But thank you for sharing your story. I think it's important, Curtis.
Yeah, anytime, Mark, and I appreciate what you do as well. And you've always been one of my favorites to talk to on a regular basis, but even more so now.
That's awesome. I'm so glad that we highlighted this a little bit, and hang in there, and thank you for all the help you do with my show because you make it a lot easier when I pull the audio. Don't charge me.
Anything for you guys. The X monetization helps.
That's very important. You got a lot of followers. Follow Curtis Houck on Twitter. Thank you very much.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
MoDOT reporting an accident westbound 6440 past Kings Highway. Watch for that in the left lane. We, of course, have some volume building behind that. We also have volume eastbound 6440, 170 through Big Bend. And there was an accident earlier westbound 6440 past Lake St. Louis Boulevard. Well, they moved it off to the shoulder. So things are improving out there, but there's still a bit of a slow go. Southbound 270 slowing from Olive down through Doherty Ferry, a little bit at 21. And if you're headed into Illinois, there is some moderate volume. It's mainly for the length of the Poplar Street Bridge. This report brought to you by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Right now, the Fix-It Right guys at Jerry Kelly will come tune up and inspect your furnace for just $98. It's normally $143, and that's very little money for a whole lot of peace of mind. Check it out now at
JerryKelly.com.
Well, we are 24 hours away, just a little more than 24 hours away from our first Protecting Your Retirement event of 2025. You had the Dow up a little bit today, and I think the NASDAQ bounced back. But look, this market volatility is not going to go away. And Thomas Helbig and the team from the Retirement Advisory Advisory Group are going to offer you different strategies to make sure you have enough money to last you in your retirement, maybe even leave some to your heirs. They're the leading authority for protecting your retirement. We get together 5 times a year in a very public format where you don't have to feel like you're just going in one-on-one. Maybe you're more comfortable one-on-one, but if you want the group setting, this is the opportunity. We may have a couple of spots left. You just have to let us know that you're coming tomorrow night, 6:30, the Plaza Frontenac Hilton. I'll swing in there after the show. Mark and Annie will be there as well. We'd love to have you along. It's a free event, and it's a quick in and out, too. Thomas will be done after we do a little meet and greet and some intros in about 45 minutes or so. Get you out there by 7:30 or shortly after. 314-993-9494, or you can register online. There's a tab right on the front of the page, retirementkey.com.
The colder weather is here, and my friends at Hanson's Tree Service want to offer you a 10% winter discount for all tree care scheduled between January and March of next year. Mark Cox here. Call now. Get your spot secured. Also, when it comes to winter plant health care, it's a great time to get one of their arborists over. Have them to prescribe the best treatment options for your trees during the fall and winter season. Tell them you heard Mark Cox talking about it. Schedule your appointment today at hansonstree.com.
What's it going to take for you to realize the IRS is in full-blown attack mode, and if you have IRS issues, your timely response is critical? Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. We certainly know the IRS has ramped up efforts because we're seeing a lot more clients with threats of intents to seize property or levy rights to property. If you have IRS issues, call the Lance Drury Firm today. Today, don't wait. Those IRS notices have hard deadlines for exercising your appeal rights. If you miss the deadline, your rights to a legal appeal are gone. Let the Lance Drury Law Firm get between you and the IRS today, and we'll help you manage your case to achieve the best outcome. IRS problems are serious legal matters, so call Lance Drury Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Don't wait. Call 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120, and schedule your free consultation with me, Lance Drury, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hi, my name is Christina Straight, the owner of Straight Realty, and I'm asking you, what do you want in a realtor? Do you want experience? I've been a broker for over 21 years. Do you want to know how much I've sold? I've sold over $500 million, yes, $1 billion with a B, in sales. Do you want value? I now list properties for only 2%. So, if you're looking for all these things and want the best, then call me, 314-441-4444. Why pay more than 2? You can also listen to my podcast on my website, straightrealty.com.
Commissions are not regulated and are negotiable. Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
And at 5:29, this portion of the show is sponsored by our friends at Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
97.1 is excited to welcome Brian Kilmeade back to St. Louis.
Hi, everyone. Brian Kilmeade here. I have great news. I'm going to be joining all of you in St. Louis.
Be a part of this event.
March 22nd, St. Louis. You're going to love it.
Get tickets at briankilmeade.com.
Brian was on earlier. You can always use the Odyssey Rewind function. Go back to approximately, when was he on? Because I have to remind myself. Oh, yeah, it was 3:25 a couple hours ago. And you can listen to Mr. Kilmeade. This is the biggest venue. The Factory is where he's going to be Saturday night, March 22nd. It's going to be awesome. We'll have the entire 97.1 team out there, and we'll be on stage introducing Brian and mixing and mingling. But the tickets are on sale right now, and he's very excited to come back to St. Louis. And he credits us a lot because we carry a show every morning, of course, and he's a regular on my show every week. Governor Kehoe is the new governor of Missouri. He's given his State of the State address yesterday, and I want to focus on education just a little bit.
I want to be clear. I am a proud supporter of education, all of its forms, public schools, private schools, charter schools, as long as Missouri's children are getting a quality education. But throwing more money at the problem is not the solution. We have invested over $4 billion in K-12 education, and we still aren't seeing acceptable results across the state. The foundation formula in its current form has gotten out of control.
That's crazy. Why would you not focus on just throwing money at things that don't work, Mike Kehoe?
We are no longer feel the formula, as currently written, appropriately allocates funding for public education. We must find a better solution that does a better job of incentivizing performance and managing unrealistic annual adjustments. The current formula was written 20 years ago. Since its inception, funding for the foundation formula has increased nearly $2 billion, while enrollment has declined by nearly 30,000 students.
So some of this gets a little inside baseball, blah, 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 foundation formula. Let's kind of cut to the chase a little bit here with Jean Evans. She is a regular on the Reardon Roundtable, political consultant for Go Consulting. She is the head of the Missouri Federation for Children. Jean, good afternoon. How are you?
I am fantastic, Mark. I'm still in Jeff City, kind of riding on a high from the governor, his announcement on wanting to tackle education in Missouri.
Well, I want to talk about school choice and some of the things he said about that. But on the foundation formula, look, I've covered Missouri politics, as you know, for a long time. I've talked about the foundation formula for a long time. I've talked about how, because you hear these complaints every time the Republicans are in control, this goes back decades, they're not throwing enough money at education. The fact of the matter is the amount of money that is given to education in the state of Missouri goes up every single year. Every year.
Yeah, and so we have opponents complaining that he said he owned it. I'm not going to fully fund the foundation formula. So they're saying he's cutting education. No, what he's saying is he's not going to give them as much money as they are demanding. He's still funding education. But the way their formula has been tweaked, it's gone up exponentially in the last couple of years, where they're asking for $300, $400, $500 million more each year in the budget just on that piece, and then asking for more in the supplemental budget while we have fewer students and worse results. And he's just like, we're not doing it that way anymore. So this is the foundation formula. Everybody on all sides agrees that it needs to be redone, but nobody wants to tackle it because it's a huge juggernaut. But he's created a task force. He's going to deal with it. But the good thing is, to me, he's attacking it on both ends. Right away, $50 million for school choice program, the Most Scholars program, which means, thousands more kids can get into the program. So immediately is going to increase school choice while still attacking the long-term problem of how we fund our schools. And he said specifically we're going to incentivize performance. Oh, what a concept. Right now there's very little accountability or incentives to do well as a school. And he's done with that. He's going to change it, and you better get on board.
Not to throw cold water on the idea, because I think that this is something that's necessary, but I always get a little nervous when it comes to blue ribbon panels and commissions and task forces, because they tend to make recommendations that don't get implemented. But what he's saying here is he's going to put a task force together with 2 senators from the Senate, appointed by the President Pro Tem, 2 representatives of the House, a member of the State Board of Education, a superintendent from a large urban school district. You might have trouble in St. Louis Public Schools. There's a little issue there. A superintendent from a rural school district. So the list goes on, trying to get a good representation from across the state, and then they deliver a report at the end of 2026. I hope that you can find, some sort of agreement on some solutions here. I get nervous when you got big panels looking at stuff, though, Gene, but I guess this is the only way to go.
I think it's smart because now you're getting people inside and outside the legislature looking at this. Everyone has an experience with education, so everyone thinks they know a lot about it, and it's a very emotional issue. There's nobody who's in the legislature or who visits the legislature who doesn't have an opinion on this, right? They've all had an experience. So I think what he's doing is great. He's saying we're going to get this done instead of passing the buck to the legislature and saying you need to do this. He's saying I'm going to create this. And if you listen to the whole speech, he's like, if you're not on board with this, with our plans to incentivize performance and have more school choice, then we don't want you, right? You've got to be on board with our plan to improve education and more freedom for students, or otherwise you're not welcome, basically. And he says it in a very nice way, but it's very clear.
Do you know, this is random, but I want to toss this in there because I think when it comes to ideas about education and, making sure that we're doing the right things moving forward, do you know who Tiffany Anderson is, who was in Jennings for a while?
Oh, yeah.
She's fantastic. Yeah. I got to know Tiffany. I actually started doing a documentary on her, and then she got shifted to Kansas, and that's where she is right now. She wrote a book that came out, I think, last year, the year before, we reconnected. But what was so impressive about Tiffany Anderson and the way that she went in to reform the schools is she wasn't a meeting person, right? At one point, Gene, because I have connections in politics, I thought to myself, this was my instinct, and it was an absolute raw instinct. I thought, you know what? Tiffany Anderson is someone who should be running the Department of Education, in Missouri. And then I thought to myself, nope, she's a doer. She actually, So she goes out into the crosswalks and she visits with the parents and the kids. This is a very impoverished districts. So some of these kids don't even eat in the morning, and she wanted to know what was going on. And she had this leadership style that turned that district around. And by the way, it wasn't because of more money, because in a weird way, and you know this, you get punished when you do better financially. So that's how backwards it is. But she really took on a different approach to education, which I think should be implemented more across the country. By the way, if I'm Governor Kehoe, and I'll tell Mike this, she's a person that should be at least listened to in this whole process, even though she's in Kansas, because she's really good on it.
She is, and I know she has a friendship with our pro temp, Cindy O'Laughlin. Cindy's trying to get her back in Missouri, and I know they speak frequently. But I think you're pointing into a bigger issue, which is how important leadership is in our schools.
Yes.
And if you talk to a teacher, they will tell you, I mean, teachers flock to schools with good leadership, with good superintendents or good principals. That's where they want to be. Everything works better. Most teachers are there. I mean, you have a son who's a teacher, right?
I do.
It's
Yeah.
a calling. They're very passionate about it. And unfortunately, what's happening when you have situations like in the St. Louis City with poor leadership, the morale goes down and these dedicated teachers leave. Your really good teachers leave, and the ones who can't oftentimes find another job end up staying, and it's a downward spiral. There's still good teachers in the city of St. Louis. They are starved for leadership there. That is a big problem that I don't know that the governor or the state can solve, other than creating a way to, maybe find some rules around superintendents. I mean, I'm not really
it's tough.
sure how you
it's
fix
tough.
it.
It
is.
I've always called for more Tiffany Andersons because I never saw anything like her, and she's a dynamo. She really is.
She is.
And that would be my recommendation. So on the school choice front, what's kind of going on there?
Yeah, so the Most Scholars program is currently funded by tax credits, and they have to raise the money every year. They're not sure how much they're going to have. There's a waiting list. Last year they did great. They went from $14 million raised the second year to $24 million raised last year, but we have thousands of kids waiting. So by appropriating $50 million to that program, thousands more kids will be able to get scholarships to go to a school that better suits them. And that is targeted to low income and special needs kids. So if you redo the formula, however, you can institute universal school choice through the formula. That is the way to get universal school choice to everyone in the state, create a competitive environment, and incentivize all these schools to do better in order to attract better teachers and more students.
So with less potential disruption in the upper body in the Senate, which has been a little all over the place with some things in the last couple of years, it sounds to me like, if I'm reading through the tea leaves here, you have confidence that some of this can actually be achieved.
I do. And this is one thing that Republicans agree on largely is school choice. We now have a Republican president and a Republican governor who are pushing for school choice. I think it makes it difficult if you're a Republican in the legislature who's opposed it to be going against the Trump administration on this issue. So that makes me hopeful. And also, Kehoe is a unique leader. And, I've worked with him for years. He's helped us with school choice just by sitting down and talking to legislators and getting them from a no to a yes. He has a unique ability to really lead people and get to a place where people feel comfortable with the policy and bring them on. He's just a great leader. I mean, you spend time with a guy, you can see it, but he just has a way of getting people, on the bus, all going in the same direction.
Well, and he had, he's got the connection where he grew up here in North St. Louis, and in North St. Louis County, and he knows, and look, you know this too. My experience has been, and this is a little different because of the numbers in Missouri, but in order to have any kind of successful school choice, in most situations, you have to have mostly urban Democrats support. You have to have some Democrats that buy into this and really believe in it, and that's sometimes how it actually gets implemented and works. And I don't know how many of those we have out there.
We have a couple. We had a few that voted with us on 727 last year, and they they were challenged then in a primary, and both of them won overwhelmingly, including that was Marlene Terry and Steve Butts. They did great. I think that sent a message to other Democrats that, hey, because a lot of them do believe in it, but they're worried because they've been told that people don't want this, even though all the polling shows even Democrats support school choice. It is an overwhelmingly popular issue. No matter how you poll it, how you ask the question, people want the freedom to choose where their child goes to school.
Steve Butts is kind of one of us. Come on. He's just doesn't want to admit he's a Republican. He's probably listening right now, so I have to tease him. Gene, awesome information. I appreciate it. We'll see you on the roundtable soon.
Sounds good.
All right,
Thanks, Mark.
Take care. Audio cut of the day. If you haven't heard Stephen Miller just absolutely slicing and dicing up Jake Tapper on CNN, I'll share that next for our audio cut of the day.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Accident westbound 6440 past Kings Highway has been causing delays this afternoon. Looks like they just got that out of the way. It's just going to take a minute for that to unwind. Southbound 170, still a slow go at 6440. And eastbound 64, a little slow at Big Bend. Westbound, some moderate volume out at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. Westbound 70 isn't bad. There was some volume right around 141, but that's the worst of it. Southbound 55 still slowing in the construction zone. South of Arsenal in pockets through Revis Barracks, but to the south of there, it's fine. And some moderate volume from Route 3 on the Illinois side to the 64 split. So it's not a parking lot through there. Just a little bit of a slow go. This report brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, Lakeside Renovation and Design has been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. From windows and siding to kitchens, baths, and outdoor spaces, they deliver quality craftsmanship backed by lifetime warranties. Visit lakesiderd.com to start your dream project today. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
SSM Health welcomes the St. Louis Golf Expo, January 31st through February 2nd at the St. Charles Convention Center. Buy big brands with Pro-Am Golf, test drive PXG in the simulator, and savor beer and cocktails. Get free golf, free balls, and special offers while they last. Get tickets and info at stlgolfexpo.com.
Yeah, it's going to be a great event this weekend. Alex Rich and I were talking about it in the last hour. We were supposed to do something on Friday morning with the simulator. Hopefully, I'm still be able to make that. I'm feigning back injury is basically what's happening right now. I want to talk to you about new windows because with all the cold air that we had a couple of weeks ago, you probably felt some drafts that you'd like to get rid of. And if you're looking at new, beautiful windows, Banner Construction here in St. Louis is a certified Pella contractor. Pella, amongst the best, look, they are the best in the industry. They're beautiful from the inside and out. They have different options for you, different price points. And Banner is the team to put it all together for you. They have an exterior design team that really can transform your home into a neighborhood showpiece. They, of course, are experts in James Hardie fiber cement siding. If you're looking for a real wood look and the feel of Hardie siding and stylish window replacements, they got you covered at Banner Construction. Now, these are big projects. They have a winter home event going on right now where you can beat the price increases. It all starts with a free in-home design and written estimate. Fall in love with your home again. Check out Banner Construction. Click on the showcase at bannerconstruction.com or call 314-569-1050 and have a banner day.
Thinking of buying a new home? Think TR Hughes. TR Hughes Homes has great prices on beautiful new homes at 4 desirable locations. Charlestown Landing in North St. Charles, convenient to Highway 370. The Grove at Riverdale and St. Paul with standard 4-car garages, just 10 minutes from the St. Peter's Dearborns. Arbor Valley and Wentzville on Highway N with minimum half-acre wooded lots. And our newest community, Elkhorn Ridge in Truesdale, just west of Wright City, minutes from Highway 70. Come and see why TR Hughes is St. Charles and now Warren County's premier home builder. TRHughes.com.
You want to retire soon, but everyone keeps telling you to wait until you're 65. After all, that's the age that you qualify for Medicare and you're close to full retirement age. I'm Marvin Mitchell, president of Compass Retirement Solutions. In my new book, Retire Early, The 9 Critical Decisions When Retiring Before 65, I discuss proper planning to help make early retirement possible. When to take Social Security, what to do with your 401k, health care, how to maximize retirement income, and much more. Get a complimentary copy of Retire Early by calling 1-800-743-8510. That's 1-800-743-8510. Can you retire early? Call 1-800-743-8510 for your copy of Retire Early, The 9 Critical Decisions When Retiring Before 65.
Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois. Compass Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
You are not your diagnosis.
A medical chart is not your identity.
And vision loss does not define you.
Your drive shows who you are.
And you are not alone.
Because we are driven too.
To be a beacon of strength.
A champion of courage.
An advocate for hope.
You are not alone.
Because we are stronger together.
We drive the research for the cures we are finding.
We're fighting macular degeneration,
Retinitis pigmentosa,
Usher syndrome,
And the entire spectrum of blinding retinal diseases.
we fund,
we fight.
We win!
We
We
are the foundation fighting blindness.
Together, we are fighting blindness.
Join the fight at fightingblindness.org.
Cancer can feel like something we can't do anything about, but you can. There are screening tests that can catch cancer early when it may be easier to treat. Begin cervical screening at age 25. At 45, start colorectal and breast screening. At 50, discuss lung screening with a doctor. Find resources for free and low-cost screening at cancer.org/getscreened. This is a public service message from the American Cancer Society.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Thursday, will the president's spending freeze hold up in court? We'll talk to Shannon Bream of Fox News Sunday at 8:20.
The Mark Cox Morning Show. Weekdays from 5 to 9. Right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
I love you, baby. I like your company. You make me laugh. You never make me cry.
There goes to the Mavericks.
Love it.
From the latest album, Live Close By, Visit Often. Never go wrong with the Mavericks, can you?
Nope.
Let's do audio cut of the day. This is honestly one of those days where I could just take my mouse that I have right next to me with my computer and just punch any soundbite, because RFK Jr. had his confirmation hearing today. We got Trump signing the Laken Riley Act. You have Stephen Miller just smoking Jake Tapper on CNN. We'll get to some of those here in a second, but let me just start. This is not audio cut of the day, but let me play this. I haven't played it yet. This is the best that Joy Behar on The View can come up with when it comes to Carolyn Levitt. We talked about Carolyn yesterday and today quite a bit. Curtis Houck from Newsbusters was with us. She did a great job. Now, you might not like her politics. If you're a Democrat, you probably don't. But she did a pretty solid job in the press room yesterday, and a lot of people took notice. But this is the best that they have on The View. Joy Behar, check this out.
She's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
So is she's alleging that Carolyn Levitt just got the gig because she's hot, which, by the way, not to insult Carolyn Levitt, I wouldn't put her at a 10. I might put her at a 7.5 or something like that. She's very attractive. She's not super hot, but that isn't
That's
the allegation.
Insulting.
Yes. Yeah, right? I don't I don't know.
So she's saying, that's just
well.
okay,
Here's my question:
thanks.
What is it? Does he hate women, or does he put women into positions of authority? You
Yeah.
can't, because they want to have it both ways.
Yep, they
on a
do.
regular basis. But that's shocking that they can't really come up with something better than that. But it is The View.
Stand by. Playback ready.
Now, the audio cut of the day.
I'm going to hop around a little bit here because there was a lot of news and a lot of important things, including probably the most important, the Laken Riley Act signed into law.
To Laken's family, we will keep Laken's memory alive in our hearts forever, everyone's hearts. With today's action, her name will also live forever in the laws of our country, and this is a very important law. This is something that has brought Democrats and Republicans together. That's not easy to do. Laken did it. Laken did it. America will never, ever forget Laken Hope Riley.
Of course, our new member of Congress, Wesley Bell, did not vote for the Laken Riley Act. Here is her mother.
Our family will forever be grateful for the prayers of the people across our nation and for helping to get this legislation into law. We also want to thank President Trump for the promises he made to us. He said he would secure our borders and that he would never forget about Laken. And he hasn't. He's a man of his word. We trust that he will fight for the American people.
That had to be a really tough day. A
Oh,
proud
can
day,
you
but a
imagine?
very, very tough day. So what does this terribly bigoted and xenophobic law do? Because that's how the Democrats are playing this off. Now, you do have John Fetterman and other Democrats, even Ruben Gallegos in Arizona, border state, that voted for it, but plenty did not. What does it do?
It's a requirement for DHS to actually detain these people. So if you're in a country illegally, you get arrested for a crime, you have to detain them. It's no longer an option. So If this was in effect during the Biden administration, you want to see criminal aliens being released by the hundreds every day. So this is in statute, it's in law. You got to detain these people. It's the right thing to do to protect public safety. President Trump, a game changer. This is going to be a very effective action to streets safer from starting day one.
Yeah, there you go. It's Tom Homan who's enforcing a lot of these things right now. Then there's RFK. He was up there for his confirmation hearings today.
Our country is not going to be destroyed because we get the marginal tax rate wrong or because we get one of these culture war issues that we've been talking about today wrong. It's going to be destroyed if we continue down this trajectory of chronic disease. We need to fix our food supply, and that's the number one.
He talked about his goals.
We will make sure our tax dollars support healthy foods. We will scrutinize the chemical additives in our food supply. We will remove financial conflicts of interest from our agencies.
Yes.
Yeah, all of those things
That would be
are
huge.
important. But of course, he was attacked by the Democrats as a conspiracy theorist quite a bit today.
It's too important for the games that you're playing, Mr. Kennedy. I hope my colleagues will say to the president, out of 330 million Americans, we can do better than this.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen. I think he is going to get confirmed. We'll have to see what
can't do
unfolds
better
here.
than
No,
that. Believe me,
apparently
this guy
we can't.
is dedicated.
So then there's Jake Tapper and Stephen Miller. Let me see how much I can get in here because this was really interesting.
It's one of the reasons that President Trump got elected, according to President Trump in an interview, I think it was with Kristen Welker of NBC, was because of grocery prices. Not the only reason, but a reason, high prices, inflation, especially at the grocery. The Department of Agriculture says that between 2020 and 2022, 42% of crop workers were undocumented immigrants. And in many cases, as you know, these migrants do jobs many Americans do not want to do. So how does President Trump make sure that the effort to deport people who are not in this country legally doesn't end up hurting Americans who want safe borders, absolutely, but also don't want to see even more higher prices in groceries?
All right. Now, it's at this point in our segment here for Cut of the Day that I have to divert just a little bit, right? I must digress. That's the word I'm looking for. And I will come back to Jake Tapper and Stephen Miller because Stephen puts the hammer down. But I have to go to this idiot Jenna Arnold on CNN last night with Scott Jennings because she said something as idiotic as this.
Can't wait until American women can't get blueberries for their smoothies.
First of all, that voice is something. Let's just listen to that one more time.
Can't wait until American women can't get blueberries for their smoothies.
She really
Do they
said
hear
that.
themselves
They
say
don't
these
hear
things?
themselves. Now, she's making the case, and this is the talking point, right? Oh, you Republicans, you want to take these criminals out, but you're going to have all these people who are picking our crops and picking the vegetables. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
So Stephen Miller's answer was...
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's not your position, Jake. You're just asking the question, that we should supply America's food with exploitative illegal alien labor. I obviously don't think that's what you're implying. Only 1% of alien workers in the entire country work in agriculture. The top destination for illegal aliens are large cities like New York, like Los Angeles, and small industrial towns, of course, all across the heartland, as we've seen with the Biden flights. Mm-hmm. None of those illegal aliens are doing farm work. Those 30,000 illegal aliens that Joe Biden dumped into Springfield.
I'm talking about the ones that are.
But I'm explaining this. It's important to understand.
No, you're kind of changing the subject. I mean, I'm talking about the ones.
I will give me 30 minutes. I'll go as deep as you want on this.
We don't have 30
your
minutes.
audience.
I don't have a third. I'm talking about the ones that work in the agriculture industry.
I'm
you
explaining
can come back
to you
and we
your
can talk
audience.
about the ones in the cities. I swear.
Why does Jake Tapper not understand that he is answering the question? He's saying your whole premise is flawed because 1% of these people work in the agriculture industry. Then he had to simplify it.
I'll do the whole answer. The illegal aliens that Joe Biden brought into our country are not full stop doing farm work. They are not. The illegal aliens he brought in from Venezuela, from Haiti, from Nicaragua, they are not doing farm work. They are in our cities collecting welfare. As for the farmers, there is a guest worker program that President Trump supports. Over time as well, we will transition into automation, so we'll never have to have this conversation ever again. But there's no universe in which this nation is going to allow the previous president to flood our nation with millions and millions of illegal aliens who just get to stay here. And we are especially not going to allow a subset of those illegal aliens to rape and murder our citizens. So we are going to unapologetically enforce our immigration laws, and as I'm sure you will celebrate, we are going to unleash the power and might of the U.S. government to eradicate the presence of transnational threats on our soil.
Damn straight, and I'm proud that Stephen Miller said all that and put the hammer down on Jake Tapper. That's why it was part of your audio cut of the day. Have a great night. We'll talk tomorrow at 3.
If you missed anything, podcast The Mark Reardon Show at 971talk.com. Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
We still have some volume on westbound 6440. It starts as you approach Hampton out through McCausland. Eastbound slowing 170 through Big Bend, and then it opens up. In fact, it looks fine all the way to the Poplar Street Bridge. Little bit of volume southbound 170, headed for 6440, and southbound 55 at Rivas Barracks. Other than that, we look good. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Wouldn't you like to take a vacation from your bills? Well, you can. With credit card balances at an all-time high and Golden Oak's 5.25% rate, you could be saving thousands of dollars after a simple phone call. Call today and get your cash in as little as 14 days and make no payments for 2 months. Call 314-567-GOLD.
Golden Oak Landing cured my blues.
6.19 APR, FHA, 15-year, 20% equity qualified credit. Additional terms apply. NMLS 114937.
Simple Minds, Alive and Kicking Tour 2025. June 5th at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. One unforgettable night. Special guests, Soft Cell, and Modern English. Tickets on sale Friday at 10 a.m. at livenation.com. Alive and Kicking Tour 2025. Simple Minds Live.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds. And most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
Or if that resume was from someone who
worked 12-hour shifts at the recycling company with my dad, who's 72. That taught me a work ethic that I carry with me every day.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone.
Growing up where I did, a lot of things could have gotten in the way of my goals. But I learned to push through, and that's what I bring to work every day.
So maybe it's time we look beyond the resume and look to Grads of Life. Discover new ways to develop great talent that are so much more than what's on paper at gradsoflife.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
Filtering the BS pushed by the mainstream media.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
97.1 FM Talk. KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
He backs the plan. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth defending the memo from President Trump calling for migrants in the U.S. illegally to be moved to Guantanamo Bay. Hegseth tells Fox's Will Cain the migrants will not be put in the prison. It's a separate part of the island.
This is a temporary transit, which is already the mission of Naval Station Guantanamo Bay, where we can plus up thousands and tens of thousands if necessary to humanely move illegals out of our country where they do not belong back to the countries where they came from in proper process.
President Trump says the facility can accommodate 30,000 beds. The U.S. has maintained a presence at Guantanamo since the early 1900s. The Defense Department's intelligence agency has paused observances of Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Pride Month, Holocaust Days of Remembrance, and other cultural or historical annual events in response to President Trump's ban on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in the federal workplace. A confirmation hearing today for Robert F. Kennedy Jr., President Trump's choice to lead the Department of Health and Human Services.
Kennedy's saying he wants to restore trust in healthcare institutions, citing a lack of people who've gotten the COVID booster despite CDC guidance.
Only 23% of Americans are complying. That means 77% of Americans no longer trust CDC, and that is the problem.
Kennedy says he wants the Department of Health and Human Services to be more transparent with information and studies.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz on Capitol Hill. The Office of Management and Budget has rescinded a memo freezing spending on federal grants less than